and cuts. The budget now goes to Governor Bob Ferguson. He says he's going to be looking at it line by line.
Yeah, I'll be taking a close look at it, but the initial proposal I saw was $17 billion in taxes. I said that's way too high. They came down to $12 billion, still too high. Now it looks like they're around $9 billion in revenue with a significant number of billions of dollars of savings and reductions. So, what I've emphasized is a balanced approach. But of course, I'll be taking a close look to see, what stays in the budget and what might need to come out.
The budget includes a $15.5 billion transportation plan with a 6-cent gas tax hike. It also increases fees for driver's licenses and registration and almost everything related to vehicles. No Republicans voted in favor of this final deal. Representative Ed Orcutt says once again, the Democrats are relying on more taxes instead of reining in spending.
The budget writers always seem to write their budget. This is what we want to spend, and then they go and put tax packages together to try and make sure they have enough money to do it. Again, this year, they're overspending how much they've got coming in.
But Democratic State Representative Joe Fitzgibbon says this budget does include some big cuts, and they will be felt.
We will see reductions in state support for our four-year colleges and universities, reductions in support for our community and technical colleges, reduction in state financial aid for students at independent colleges. We will see increases in co-pays for Washingtonians who utilize state child care services. We will see reduced number of slots in those child care settings. We will see 1 prison and 4 reentry centers closed, operated by the Department of Corrections. Those are a couple of the cuts that that I think have the potential to be visible to Washingtonians.
So you've had a chance to look at it. Who are the big winners and losers?
The only winners in this budget are politicians and bureaucrats. And, Ursula, I came in today. I knew that we were going to be talking about this topic. And this is one of those that is going through that I got to tell you, I just don't feel good about. I don't feel good about because there's just going to be, and I feel like there's going to be unintended consequences. Let's just take rent caps, just that alone. All of these rent caps, in my opinion, are just another way for lawmakers to pat themselves on the back while truly ignoring the real problem that is facing people. It really is important that the focus and the solutions are driven towards to really drive true support for these families and these communities. So the rent topic is one of those that, okay, we'll wait and see. I hope that I am wrong about this whole rent cap thing, right? That's one thing. And the next thing is that, Ursula, I don't feel like the people win at this. I feel like everybody is kind of right in this. So if you're one of those that says, but gee, there's overspending that's happening, I believe you are right. And gee, but hey, we need this tax money or because of the $16 billion budget. You're right. There's just the winners, I believe, are more politicians and bureaucrats than the people.
Mm. And there are many who agree with you on that, just on the rent cap alone. So lawmakers passed the bill to cap rent increases statewide at 7% plus inflation or 10%, whichever is less. And I think initially this is great for renters. But as you said, and one Republican lawmaker already said that they've already heard from one of the big builders, development companies that said, because of this bill, we're out. And I think that we have talked about it quite often that that some of the smaller mom and pops are going to get out. But that all said, I also just heard from someone who is a renter who said, that these increases have been so outrageous that it makes it hard to make ends meet, which is why I was saying there's got to be some kind of way to achieve both or address both of these issues. But so far, they're going with the rent cap.
Do some of these cuts in other areas, would you guys hear that? The flowing with those cuts, you guys don't feel uncomfortable about these things?
I think anytime we're talking about potential recession, we're talking about a $16 billion budget cap. I think, unfortunately, they had poor estimates going into how much money was going to be brought into the state. and they spent based on, they being the lawmakers, spent based on estimates that didn't come to fruition. So now we're dealing with this budget cap. So, I mean, in my opinion, the winners are law enforcement, because the budget includes a $100 million grant program to hire and retain police officers. That is something that Governor Ferguson said during his campaign that he was going to do, and that is still in there. The ultra wealthy, Governor Ferguson did not support the wealth tax. Democrats in Olympia finally gave up on that idea, which would have affected just 4,300 of the richest people in our state. So that's off the table. State employees, the final state budget plan will cover the pay raises that they had negotiated last year. State workers are not going to have to do any furlough days, which the governor had suggested a way to save money. And union workers in this budget and this session, the lawmakers passed a bill to provide unemployment benefits for striking workers, which you and I both said that's an area where you don't need to spend that money because striking workers are choosing, right? Yeah. And then if you look at the losers, business groups, the B&O taxes are going up in many industries, new sales tax on tech services, increased capital gains tax on wealthy investors. So basically they're saying that this is the biggest tax increase in state history when it comes to businesses. And then all of us who have to fill up our gas tank, the gas taxes are going up.
6 cents.
6 cents per gallon.
Hey, real quick, I know y'all get bored with my analogies.
No,
I know
we
you
love
do,
your analogies.
but I want to. This is how I feel when it passed. It reminds me of the marriage where the guy has a problem in the marriage, but because he has a lot of money, he gives the significant other all kinds of diamond rings, kind of like Kobe Bryant did when he got Vanessa the diamond ring when he had charges of alleged out there in Denver. Well, this is one of those. Sometimes you can't just continue throwing money at the problem. You got to get to the root of the problem. And I think for so many years, that's all that's been done. Sometimes that marriage still ain't going to work, bruh. Even if you give her all that money and all that, you still got a problem. This is just a Band-Aid.
I have another question to ask. Okay, I like your analogies, but I have another question to ask, because ultimately they're increasing spending by $7.4 billion over the next 2 years. Why are we increasing spending at a time when we have a decrease in revenue? I mean, that would be the other question I ask, but again, I'm not in Olympia. So anyway, weigh in, 888-973-5476, 888-973 KIRO. Just a tragic story out of Vancouver, BC, where a 30-year-old man is now accused of killing at least 11 people and injuring dozens more after he allegedly rammed an SUV through a crowd at a Filipino community festival. And our reporter Luke Ducey has been tracking this story and joins us live now.
This is so sad. This was supposed to be a celebration of the Filipino culture at the Lapu-Lapu Day Festival just this Saturday. It turned into an absolute nightmare for thousands in Vancouver, BC. One day after that attack, a member of a Seattle dance group that performed at the festival, his name is Devin Cabanilla, he shared this on social media.
I'm safe. The kids are safe, especially. We're all very shaken up knowing that the people who are around us yesterday may not be alive.
Devin says many of the people in the dance group who left the festival left just minutes before that suspect, a 30-year-old, drove his Audi SUV around a barrier and into the crowd. Among the 11 people killed, the youngest just 5 years old. He also talked about security. Do you want to hear what he said about security? This is interesting. He's not blaming Canadians, but he's saying this was the what he saw on the ground there.
And they say on the news there were barricades. Barricade was just like long plank of wood. It's not a concrete barrier or steel chains, and it's all people, just volunteers in orange vests. And I don't remember seeing any police.
Yeah, Devin and his group, they're all back home. They're safe, but just tragic news out of Vancouver this weekend.
What do we know about the suspect other than he's 30 years old?
That he has had significant history with police and run-ins with police and also mental health professionals. He has mental health issues. And he is known to police and medical professionals up there, and it's kind of like what we see here in the U.S. Same thing. And then for whatever reason, he allegedly, according to police, pulled his car around a barrier, hit the gas, and killed people.
Oh, just so sad. Thank you, Luke. A couple of thoughts come to mind.
There needs to be stricter laws right now for drivers at public gatherings, period. It's now time to think about safety before a permit is permitted to be valid. Before public gatherings, things like that, there needs to be bollards put in place at least. Like we can't. It's funny. We have said this before, Ursula. We say it all the time. When you know better, you do better. And we cannot keep having this. This is one of those things where a festival, where people are festive, turns into chaos. 11 people, like little kids will never look at that moment ever again the same. Not just the people who lost their lives, the families impacted, the people who saw that. So that's where I'm at. There needs to be stricter laws on public gatherings and walking spaces like that.
And you're just saying because what the description that we got, just this wooden barricade, it's so sad that you can't even have a festival without this idea that you got to worry about someone driving through here. Yeah. And, I mean, we saw that in New Orleans. We've seen that in other parts of the world. We've seen it in other parts of this country. And they just haven't figured out, like, you can't – part of the joy of being at a festival is having that freedom to walk around, right? Yep. I mean, so how much can you do to protect someone who is hell-bent on doing something like this with a car?
Right. Right.
Yeah, it's really just so sad, and what should have been so joyous ended up being so tragic. We need to inject some positive news this morning because the NFL draft wrapped up this weekend, and Gee Jr. is moving to a new city.
Hey, he is. Before I get to Gee Jr., I want to give a shout out to the state of Washington, just in general. His teammate, Emeka Egbuka, went in the first round. He's heading to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I want to give a shout out there. Jalen Tuimoloau, JT, he went in the second round. Another teammate of my son's, he's heading to the Indianapolis Colts. There's a text that comes in to say Jackson Slater from Newport High School. He went in the fifth round.
Very cool.
Carson Bruner, so we got a lot of talent here that definitely is heading to the NFL.
And then also the Seahawks had a great draft. And the
Seahawks had an incredible draft. I mean, they drafted 11 players. 9 of the 11 were from the offensive side of the ball. Like, there's a real new sheriff in town when we talk about the new offensive coordinator, Clint Kubiak. I had a phone call come in from a former Seahawk who we all know and love, to which his exact words were, "Yo, John Schneider's a monster in this draft." John Schneider was like the Seahawks did. They did really, really well. Awesome. So it was a good draft there. As for me, I'll be heading out to Boston. I'm going to go out there. They don't have it this weekend, but next weekend they will have the rookie camp.
For the Patriots.
Yeah, the Patriots. My son gets to go play with his best friend, Travion Henderson, who was drafted by them in the second round. So he's heading out there. I'll head out to Boston. And Ursula, I got 2 rules. 1, I will not step into the facility until my son makes the team. And I will not buy anything Patriots until he makes the team.
Okay. Because what does he have ahead of him now? I mean, he basically has to prove himself.
He has to prove him. He has a blank canvas. He has an opportunity to go in there. It's a very good situation for him. He already knows some people on the team. He's already inside of that playbook getting started. So, yeah, it was an exciting weekend. It's cool.
I love it. You're being so modest. I mean, this is a huge thing. This is so huge.
Oh, okay.
All
right.
It's like you're making it almost.
Okay,
you're playing it down.
Can I say something?
We're more excited than you.
No, I'm excited, right? But I think sometimes on the outside looking in,
he still has to prove himself. I mean, that's the one thing.
Not just that. I think people just have this idea that a child goes to the NFL and it's like, well,
now he's got it made.
I got to go to work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not one of those parents that's like, hey, can I get some money? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They get a nice little signing bonus to go out there and look guaranteed and all that kind of stuff. But, hey, I'm excited. I'm excited like he went to kindergarten. Yeah. I'm excited like he went to high school or college. It's the same feeling. It's a new adventure.
It is.
Or it's like.
And you've never been to Boston.
No.
Right?
And I can't wait to go to the history out there.
Yeah.
Boston. Yeah, I'm going to get some clam chowder and all that good stuff. All right. Even though I'd argue that Pike Place chowder is the best. Hey, coming up at 9:47, we need to talk. Have you been hearing about the whole Shadur Sanders conversation? I know you. Wait till you hear what I got some things to say about that. But up next, Ursula, we got some things involving U.S. citizens and deportation.
Detentions.
Yeah. We'll do that next. Gee Ursula.
KIRO Newsradio, your home for the John Curley Show.
You take the money from the guy that made the money because somehow he doesn't deserve all of that money, and you give it to the government, and then they redistribute it to everybody. How is wealth created from that? It is never created. We are all richer because these people, they came up with some pretty cool ideas that we all benefit from. Most of these guys didn't set out to be billionaires. What they set out to do was solve a problem.
Find podcasts and more at mynorthwest.com.
Hey, it's me, second base at T-Mobile Park. In my view, it's pretty sweet. I can see the big dumper flashing his platinum glove, firing a perfect throw right at me. Here comes the tag. Oh, got him.
Another strike him out, throw him out for Cal Raleigh.
Then there's Julio, stomping on me on his way to a stand-up triple. That dude is unreal.
Swinging a line drive, Julio round to third with a 2-out, 3-run triple.
And JP, smooth as silk, snaring line drives out of thin air.
And he takes a hit away.
Come check it out for yourself. There's nothing like being this close to the action. Although I'm still waiting to get invited to the wind dance. A base can dream. Mariners baseball. Trident's up.
The Mariners are celebrating Mother's Day during a 3-game series May 9th to 11th. And on Mother's Day, Sunday the 11th, the first 10,000 moms will score a clear purse thanks to Muckleshoot Casino Resort. Then the action continues with a showdown against the Yankees May 12th to 14th. Tickets at mariners.com.
Hey there, I'm Jack.
And I'm Stag.
We're just two deer that want to make sure you know it's deer season at your authorized John Deere dealer. The deer season that saves bucks. You know, like us.
Yeah, you can get $3,000 off select John Deere machines. No early wake-up calls or tree stands required.
Just a trip to your authorized dealer before June 2nd.
If you ask us, it's the only deer season worth celebrating.
Visit johndeere.com/deer season to find an authorized dealer and for complete finance details.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. An important message about your timeshare from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. Contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about timeshare cancellation.
Call 800-885-7700. 800-885-7700.
Before taking your next flight, you'll need to be prepared. Start off with a visit to realidwa.com.
New ID requirements for travel go into effect on May 7th, 2025.
There are multiple forms of ID you can use.
Whatever option you choose, make sure you have it with you before heading to the airport.
That way, you can travel stress-free.
Don't wait. Prepare today so we can fly together.
It's your final boarding call for Real ID.
Visit realidwa.com.
We're here with our friend Steve Teitler of Best Mortgage, the reverse mortgage expert. Steve, mortgage rates have been dropping this year. How could that help seniors struggling to stay in their homes?
Lower mortgage rates means seniors can now get more money from their equity with a reverse mortgage. You can pay off your existing mortgage, have extra money to help with today's high cost of living, or believe it or not, you can even buy a home with a reverse mortgage. There are many uses, and best of all, you have no mortgage payments the rest of your life.
But as you always say, a reverse mortgage is not for everyone.
That's right. Avoid the high-pressure sales pitch from those out-of-state call centers. I give you a consultation, not a sales pitch. I'll tell you if a reverse mortgage is right for you, and I always tell you if it's not.
Honest advice you can trust from the reverse mortgage experts. Best Mortgage, the VA loan experts and debt consolidation specialists too. 425-649-6000. Best Mortgage, 425-649-6000.
At Uline, the prevailing opinion is, if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people at Uline believe in hard work, and they live it by being there 24/7 to answer your call, having 41,000 items in stock, and offering same-day shipping from 12 locations across North America. Business owners, sellers, buyers, shippers, and packers believe it. Uline is the hard-working, dependable source for your shipping and industrial supplies. Visit uline.com.
See the new phase of premium view lots at Natchez RV Resort, and they start at just $80,000. Don't miss your opportunity to get first pick. Reserve your showing now. 800-422-6009. NatchezRVResort.com.
At Lake Washington Windows and Doors, we provide top quality windows that are 25% more energy efficient, reduce noise by 50%, and stay clear with low maintenance glass. With leak armor installation and lifetime warranties, you're protected for life. Visit LakeWashingtonWindows.com.
Right now, have ultra-efficient clean technology windows installed and pay zero down with zero interest and zero payments for 18 months. Only from Lake Washington Windows and Doors. And they'll even pay your sales tax. Visit LakeWashingtonWindows.com.
At Les Schwab, we've been changing the tire game for more than 70 years. Our Go the Extra Mile service means more hustle, less hassle. We design our own exclusive tires to give you more tires made for the road you drive, less compromise. All backed by America's best tire warranty included with every tire we sell. We're talking more unbeatable tire warranty, less charging you extra, like the other guys. It's why you get more from less. Book an appointment at leschwab.com.
Hi, John Curley here. It's a great time to upgrade with incredible savings on ultra-efficient heat pumps. Take advantage of local utility rebates up to $5,000 off on heat pumps. And Eastsiders save up to $6,000 with the Energy Smart Eastside program. Home Comfort Alliance is offering up to 10% off all heat pumps and air conditioning systems through April. Get both heating and cooling with an ultra-efficient heat pump in one unit. Plus, enjoy 18 months, same as cash financing. Call Home Comfort Alliance, the comfort people. Visit HomeComfortAlliance.com.
KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO Newsradio and mynorthwest.com.
Good morning, I'm Heather Bosch.
The 2025 regular session is adjourned. Sine die. Sine die.
Washington state lawmakers wrap up their session by passing a $78 billion budget, including $9 billion in new taxes. Republicans say the deal fails to rein in record spending. Businesses say it's the biggest tax increase on them in state history. Democrats who control the legislature say it increases money for schools, affordable housing, and law enforcement. Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell says the city's making a significant increase in hiring this year after years of a severe cop shortage. He plans to give details later this morning. We're hearing from a Seattle man who escaped when a car rammed into a crowd celebrating the Filipino culture in Vancouver, BC. KIRO News Radio's Luke Ducey has more.
One day after the attack, Devin Cabanilla, who was at the Lapu-Lapu Day Festival Saturday celebrating Filipino heritage with his Seattle dance group, shared on social media.
We're all very shaken up knowing that the people who are around us yesterday may not be alive.
Of the 11 killed, the youngest was just 5 years old. Police say the suspect had a history of mental health issues. Devin and his dance troupe are back home safe in Seattle.
Investigators do not think the suspect's actions are tied to terrorism. It's unclear what's causing a massive power outage in parts of Spain and Portugal. CBS's Holly Williams.
Those two nations in southern Europe have a combined population of over 50 million people, so this is a very big deal.
Subway networks, phone lines, and traffic lights are out. Power is starting to be restored. President Vladimir Putin says Russia will mark 80 years since the Soviets' victory over Nazi Germany with a 3-day ceasefire in the Russia-Ukraine war.
This will be a welcome development if it is to hold. Both sides had announced a sort of 24-hour ceasefire in order to mark Easter. Hundreds of violations, again, on both sides.
CBS's Charlie D'Agata. The ceasefire is supposed to start May 7th. A Requiem Mass for Pope Francis is planned for today in Seattle. The pontiff was laid to rest Saturday in Rome. Seattle service will begin at 12:10 this afternoon at St. James Cathedral. The church says all are welcome. Tariff concerns are again weighing on Wall Street. The Dow is down 127 points, NASDAQ off 218. From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk, in Seattle on I-5 at Mercer, you are backing up as you approach the 520 bridge. You're really slow all the way back to Boeing Field right now. This is linked to construction on 520 eastbound. Travel time Seattle to Bellevue, 24 minutes, 10 longer than usual. Your crash in Tacoma on I-5 northbound at 84th Street's been moved over to the shoulder. Travel time Olympia to Tacoma is back down to 33 minutes, almost on target. Traffic brought to you by Beacon Plumbing. For all your heating, electrical, septic, and mechanical needs, stop freaking, call Beacon. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Increasing showers today with highs in the upper 50s. It's 51 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO Newsradio Northwest News.
Welcome back to the Gee and Ursula Show. Coming up at 9:47, this Shedeur Sanders saga that happened during the NFL draft. You said this is an example of what racism is not, that racism has nothing to do with what happened to him.
I'll tell y'all something. There's a lot of times, y'all know, I'm going to call racism, right?
Yes.
Can we not waste our time on this one? But
yes.
But
I'll explain.
I'll explain, because I know that probably just triggered somebody. But I'll explain.
Coming up. Okay, but right now we need to talk about what is happening with these deportations and detentions, because an Irish woman who is living legally in the U.S. is now in ICE custody at the Northwest Detention Center in Tacoma after a trip back home to visit her dad, who is dying from dementia. We get this story from the Irish Times. 54-year-old Cleona Ward came to the U.S. when she was 12. She's lived in Santa Cruz, California for 3 decades. She is a legal green card holder, and she is the only caregiver for a son with special needs. And when she flew into Seattle on March 19th, she was questioned by Customs and Border Protection about drug and theft convictions from 20 years ago. It's important to point out that those convictions were expunged from California state records. So she was released with instructions to follow up with CBP to provide proof of her expungements. And so when she did exactly that in the San Francisco airport on April 21st, she was arrested, detained for 3 days at SFO, and then she was transferred to ICE custody in Tacoma on the 24th. Orla Holloway tells NBC Bay Area that she is horrified that her sister could be permanently separated now from her son.
I'm livid, and the way that they are treating her is worse than a criminal. She had no contact with any family members. She has a son who is an American citizen who she is currently a caretaker for because he's chronically ill. I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone, she's not a criminal. She has a criminal past, which she has atoned for. She deserves to be treated like a human being.
So she is scheduled to get a hearing date on May 7th. And while I'm thinking about it, and I'm going to share another story, Chef, can you check on the UW employee who was kind of detained on similar circumstances? Mm-hmm. Do you mind checking on because I haven't heard an update on that. There's so much going on in terms of detentions and deportations that it's hard to keep track. But it's important that we do, because now there's this other story. And Gee, I know that you have reacted to this. 3 kids, ages 2, 4, and 7, all of whom are U.S. citizens, were deported to Honduras with their mothers early on Friday morning. This is from the New York Times. And one of the kids has stage 4 metastatic cancer and was deported without any medication or any doctor's consultation. One of the moms, who is pregnant, also got no medical consultation or clearance. And from the moment of their arrest by ICE on Tuesday and Thursday until the time they were hustled onto the plane on Friday, the only contact that they were allowed was a single 1-minute call with a spouse. So an ICE agent ended that call when the spouse began to share an attorney's phone number. And ICE promised to allow the women access to an attorney, but that has not happened. Mm-hmm. So instead, they were put onto a 6 a.m. flight out of New Orleans before the courts opened, which meant a judge never had a chance to rule on a motion for a temporary restraining order filed by one of the families. Mm-hmm. So what is the Trump administration saying about this? Border czar Tom Homan tells CBS's Face the Nation the children were not actually deported.
No U.S. citizen child was deported. Deported means you got to be reported by the immigration judge. We don't deport U.S. citizens.
The mother was deported along with the children.
The children aren't deported. The mother chose to take the children with her. Now, when you enter the country illegally, and you know you're here illegally, and you choose to have a U.S. citizen child, that's on you.
Like you said, I'm glad you pointed that out. They made this happen before the courts were open. Even while there were people trying to get the kids, they were, okay, you're going to send the mom? Okay, They were trying to facilitate getting the kids back so they would not be deported with their mom. And they didn't let that happen. They made it happen before the courts were open. Chaos. Chaos is what all of us and what you and I discuss every single day on the show. Within the first 100 days of Donald Trump being in office, that creates the chaos so we can talk about everything else. There's so much uncertainty. If you're a business owner, if you work for a big company, there's so much. If you have a 401k, there's so much uncertainty right now. And to which you ask yourself, why? Why is all of this chaos happening? Because this is what he wants. This is just another leg of the chaos, Ursula. People that have green cards, people that had things expunged off their record. You don't know. Right now, there are some people that are listening right now that have a green card that are afraid to go and see family members outside of the country.
This is true. This is true. This is what I've heard from people who work at colleges with students here who are on visas. This is what I'm hearing from friends who have family members who have green cards. I was someone who had a green card for many years. And if I still was here with a green card, I would be worried. Thank God I became an American citizen. And I know for the people who say, I voted for this, this is what I wanted, other countries would be doing the same. A, I would argue that they wouldn't necessarily be doing exactly what is happening here. And B, I think that we have been, and we should be, living to a different standard where people are given, again, a chance. And you know, right now you're potentially giving them a death sentence by sending them off without medical consultation, without medication, potentially separating these families. I mean, is this what we want?
You know what people used to tell me specifically on this show? They would text it like, gee, hey, we just don't like the open borders. We want you to do it the right way.
I don't want wide open borders.
Neither do I. But they would say, do it the right way. That's what they would tell me.
Yes.
And now we have people that are being penalized that have been doing it the right way. We should all be nervous. It doesn't matter which side of politics that you're on. We should all be nervous of this.
Do you want your update?
Yes, please.
So Llewellyn Dixon, who was the UW lab technician, who was arrested and detained by ICE back in March. There have been no updates on her case, so I believe that she is still in detention. She was a permanent legal resident since 1975. And the Tacoma Immigration Detention Center only releases people on bond in 3% of cases. Oh. That is the lowest in the nation. The national average is 30%.
Wow. So there you go. I mean, and like you said, Gee, this should be worrisome to everybody.
Yeah, it should be. Coming up next here on the show, Shedeur Sanders. I know that name has been talked about all weekend, including Caroline Lovett in the White House is taking credit for Shedeur being drafted. We'll tell you all about it next. Gee and Ursula.
I've always been a super athletic guy, but after I turned 40, I noticed I was slowing down. Instead of hitting the gym after work, I spent my evenings on the couch with a bag of chips. I was gaining weight, losing muscle, and when I did try to work out, I ran out of energy right away. One of my buddies suggested I book a free testosterone check at Revive Health, and that's when I learned that low T doesn't just impact how guys perform in the bedroom. I worked with a provider to create my custom treatment plan, and today I'm feeling stronger than ever. Last week, I even set a new PR at the gym. My only regret is not reaching out sooner.
If you're ready to book your free T-check, visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com or call 206-529-1111. Again, that's 206-529-1111.
Saving for retirement was tough enough for us.
Yes, and navigating markets can be challenging at times.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we take a disciplined approach with your investments.
Tell us more about that.
We take an active approach to money management, positioning your portfolio for opportunities we see ahead.
So all your clients get the same portfolio?
No, we tailor your portfolio to your individual goals and needs.
What about communication? We don't like being left in the dark.
We check in regularly to keep you informed on the markets and your portfolio.
Which means you'll help us stay on track.
Yes, our goal is your comfortable retirement. And as a fiduciary, we always put your interests first, because we do better when you do better. At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them, the right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Secret Clinical dominating extra stinky stress sweat. And this is regular deodorant. Secret Clinical in a heat wave. Oh, what a beautiful day. This is regular deodorant. Ugh, I can't. Secret Clinical with workout sweat. Let's run another marathon. And regular deodorant. How much more? Secret is the GOAT. Because nothing fights sweat better. Stay fresher under pressure.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is for you too. Stubborn fat is really hard to get rid of, and then there's all those gimmicky lasers, fat freezing methods, and prescriptions. Imagine a simple solution that takes just one day and provides immediate noticeable results. Introducing ProSculpt. ProSculpt uses air-assisted technology that's safe and gentle yet powerful, delivering instant fat-reducing and skin-tightening results. Performed by board-certified plastic surgeons while fully awake, ProSculpt contours your body with minimal downtime. It's designed to target those problem areas: waistline, neck, face, arms, thighs. ProSculpt gently removes unwanted fat and tightens loose skin with FDA-cleared plasma technology, all in a simple, guaranteed one-day procedure. ProSculpt is one and done. Schedule your free consultation at ProSculpt.com for $250 off. For powerful permanent fat removal and skin tightening that works for ladies and you men, it's ProSculpt.com.
Jim Singletary here, Chief Roof Nerd at RoofSmart, where we're not afraid to tell you no. Looking for a roofing company that'll do cheap, fast work and just cover up the problem? No, that's not us. Want a quick quote without a real inspection? Nope. Just want a price without knowing your options? Not happening. Look, we don't want to tell you no, but if saying yes means cut corners, bad results, or wasted money, we won't do it. Period. And here's the deal. Seattle gets 150 rainy days a year. That's not wait and see weather, it's call RoofSmart now weather. We say no to leaky roofs, sloppy work, and bad estimates, and yes to thorough inspections, accurate quotes, and top-quality work that actually lasts. So if you want an honest roofer who's not afraid to say no to bad work, call RoofSmart today at 206-487-4877 or visit GetRoofSmart.com. That's 206-487-4877 or GetRoofSmart.com.
It's John Curley for Window Nation. You know, April is a great time to spruce up around the house, especially during Window Nation's Buy 4, Get 4 free sale going on now. You could pay nothing up until 2027, and they'll include a free entry door, too. Why do I trust Window Nation? Because they partner with Milgard in Tacoma to build top-quality windows to their highest standards, and they back them with a lifetime warranty. Hurry, sale ends soon, so don't wait to schedule your estimate at 866-90Nation or visit windownation.com.
Good morning, everybody. It is the Gee and Ursula Show. Ursula has been a hot topic over the weekend, and the biggest topic has been Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders was quarterback for the Colorado Buffs. He is also the son of Neon Deion Primetime Sanders, right? And so let's start off first. There were a lot of people about 4 months ago, that were all saying that Shedeur Sanders would be a first-round pick. As we started to get closer to the draft, all those people, in air quotes, all those people started to back away from that sentiment. What has happened over the weekend, Ursula, is that a lot of people, there's some that believe that collusion was happening with the owners, as if the owners were like, hey, nobody picked this guy up, especially on the first day. Some people think that there's racism that's involved in this. Some people also think that because of Deion Sanders and his dad, that they don't want Deion around the facility or the organization. All of these different theories. And the number one theory is this. 32 teams did not feel like Shedeur should be a first-rounder. 32 teams felt like Shedeur shouldn't be a second-rounder. But the Cleveland Browns in the 5th round said, okay, even though they drafted a quarterback
early.
Had
2 quarterbacks.
So they drafted another quarterback. The Cleveland Browns felt that way. Now, I've had people come at me. I've had friends that, but gee, hold on. There is a little bit of collusion. They don't like somebody that's so brash, and they don't like somebody who shows his wrists and his watch and all this stuff.
I mean, those are all things that he has done, right? I mean,
Sure.
he's like his dad, who is very flashy. I mean, I would see him on the sidelines with like a fur coat.
Yeah.
And by the way, my youngest son went to Colorado, but missed that whole Deion Sanders era. But that he would do something like pointing to a watch and say, indicating it's time, we're going to beat you or whatever. I mean, he's someone who has a lot of confidence.
Sure.
Right? And maybe was his confidence maybe bigger than his actual talent?
Here's the thing. Confidence is great. Cockiness is when you tell somebody about it, right? That's the difference.
Exactly.
The thing is there are people that, now look, there's 2 types that's talking about this. There's people that understand the NFL and the people that don't. The people that don't understand the NFL, I'm okay. If you want to have your conspiracy theories, I'm fine with it. I have the problem with those that do know about the NFL that use their platform to tell people that there was some kind of collusion, to use this to tell people that because he's flashy, look, flashy or not, if an NFL organization thinks that this player is going to be good for them, then that's what happens. Explain this. Explain how the last 3 quarterbacks, actually 4, because one of them is actually going back to school, that were in the college playoffs. The Will Howard, who won the national championship, was drafted after Shedeur. Riley Leonard, who was in the championship game for Notre Dame, was drafted after Shedeur. Quinn Ewers, Texas, who was in the semifinals, was drafted after Shedeur. The number 1 pick in the NFL draft was Cam Ward. Some of you Cougs remember Cam Ward. He went over to Miami.
And Cam Ward happens to be a black player who is extremely talented. And so to say the whole racism thing, he was the first pick.
Yeah, I don't. So, yes, you're right, Ursula. But when people start to say, like, I don't think this NFL is a real business. Now, if you want to talk collusion with Colin Kaepernick, okay, cool. We can talk about that. This right here, if you say there's collusion, so basically what you have to say is that Tom Brady, who's on the ownership with the Raiders, who mentored Shedeur Sanders, who worked out with Shedeur Sanders, that means that Tom Brady was a part of a call with other owners that says, let's not draft Shedeur and let's not let it happen to the 5th round.
I got to ask, though, because his dad did come out and say there are certain teams I don't want him to play for. Okay, so that was one thing. And didn't Shedeur also sit out on something where his talent could have been assessed? Okay, I am not an expert.
He sat out on the combine. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that would give me indication that there's a little bit of attitude, and it's like if your talent doesn't match having to inherit or deal with that kind of attitude. I mean, I ended up feeling sorry for him. They kept panning to him, in his decked out party where, oh my gosh, 1st round went by, 2nd round went by, 3rd round, and it was like, finally, It was almost humiliating.
Yeah. I might sound harsh when I say this. I don't feel sorry for Shedeur. I don't feel sorry for Dion. I don't feel sorry for any of it. What we are seeing right now is we are seeing what happens when your dad can't control your destination. Let's go back.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's like, hello.
Let's go back to high school.
Yeah.
I remember Shedeur on the 7-on-7 circuit one time and never came back on the circuit. As a matter of fact, what did Dion do during high school? They built a school so that Shedeur can have, and so Daddy can coach and have their all playing time. Look that up. Look up what happened to that school. Then in college, I want to go to Jackson State. I want to coach. Boom. Then they leave Jackson State. They go to Colorado. He's a coach. Shedeur has never had to compete against any competition because Daddy, if you're listening
if there's any lesson there, it's, Daddy needs to back down a little bit.
If you're listening right now, and maybe let's just put this simple. Have you ever had the dad be the coach and somehow the one child wears number one?
Oh, yeah.
Or
and
the
somehow
one child
makes that team at the end of the summer for baseball. It's like, wait a minute. How did that kid who's not that good somehow make this special team that gets to keep
Dad's
playing?
kid is the pitcher. Dad's kid leads off on baseball. Come on now, y'all know.
Yes.
Or the kid that is really good on the team getting benched for the son.
Come on. That's all this is. Dion can't control the NFL, and so people are mad. All right. Coming up next. By the way, happy Monday, y'all. Coming up next, Matt Markovich is going to come in to explain all of the taxes that are inside of that $78 billion budget that passed. We'll do that next. Gee Ursula.
Gee and Ursula agree to disagree.
This is happening until we do a better job at addressing affordable housing.
We're spending more money on homelessness, and yet it does keep getting worse.
Weekday mornings at 11:06 on KIRO News Radio.
Is your roof ready for more spring showers? If your roof springs a leak, Valentine Roofing has you covered with our Leak Stop Guarantee. We'll stop a leak in your old roof for free until the new one is safely installed by our best-in-class craftsmen. But don't wait for a roofing emergency. Schedule your free estimate now before you have the headache of dealing with a leak. With our spring priority scheduling, we can get your roof replacement started within just 3 weeks. For all your roofing needs, call Valentine Roofing at 206 Roofing today to schedule your free estimate.
Confidence is knowing you're ready to handle whatever comes your way. That's what it feels like to take on your workday with Cintas. They make sure your AEDs are up to date, your fire extinguishers are tested and inspected, your floor mats are cleaned and delivered, and your workwear looks good, feels good, and is freshly laundered with the Cintas Apparel Plus program. So are you ready to take on today? Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
You could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
It's a new year, but many seniors are struggling with the same old problem: high prices and rising property taxes. We're here with our friend Steve Teitler of Best Mortgage, and he says a reverse mortgage may be the answer.
Many seniors cannot afford to stay in the home they love. A reverse mortgage gives them access to equity in their home without having to sell. They can pay off their mortgage if they have one, and maybe pull some extra cash out of their home, and best of all, they have no mortgage payment the rest of their life.
But as you always say, a reverse mortgage is not for everyone.
That's right. Avoid the high-pressure sales pitch from those out-of-state call centers. I give you a consultation, not a sales pitch. I'll tell you if a reverse mortgage is right for you, and I always tell you if it's not.
Honest advice you can trust from the reverse mortgage experts. Best Mortgage, the VA loan experts and debt consolidation specialists too. 425-649-6000. Best Mortgage, 425-649-6000.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Febreze. As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust Febreze car vent clips, featuring 3 distinct intensity settings, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up Oscar!
Get up to $5,000 in local utility rebates, and Eastsiders save up to $6,000 with the Energy Smart Eastside program. Plus, Home Comfort Alliance is offering up to 10% off all heat pumps and air conditioning systems through April. Visit HomeComfortAlliance.com.
Your best source for local news. KIRO Newsradio, KIRO FM, and HD1, Tacoma, Seattle, Northwest News.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Steve Kathan. The White House says illegal border crossings hit record lows in February and March. President Trump plans to sign 2 executive orders today expanding his immigration crackdown. And the border czar is responding to questions about the deporting of an undocumented mother to Honduras.
Tom Homan says the mom was here illegally, and it was her choice to take the child with her.
What we did is remove children with their mothers who requested the children depart with them.
He says it doesn't matter if the child's a citizen.
If you choose to have a U.S. citizen child, knowing you're in this country legally, you put yourself in that position.
And if they didn't abide by the mom's request...
The story today be Trump administration separating families again. No, we're keeping families together.
Stacey Lynn, CBS News, the White House.
Ukraine's foreign minister says, why wait? Referring to the Kremlin's call for a 3-day ceasefire early next month in Ukraine. Kyiv has been pushing for a 30-day cessation. CBS's Charlie D'Agata.
The official line out of the Pentagon, Secretary Hegseth, it's the same as it's coming out of the White House. They want to stop the killing. So even if that's temporary, it shows a level of restraint, and anything that can stop the killing even temporarily, even if it's a gesture from the Kremlin, it does show a bit of accommodation and a bit of wiggle room, a bit of reason to be positive about the conflict there.
The Vatican says the conclave to pick a successor to Pope Francis will begin a week from Wednesday. CBS News contributor Delia Gallagher is in Rome.
In the last 2 conclaves, a pope has been chosen within 2 days, so we could expect perhaps something similar, but you never know, of course. This is probably going to be some big shoes to fill.
CBS News meteorologist David Parkinson tells us violent weather could be a factor later today in parts of Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa.
During the day today, we could be seeing tornadoes in the Des Moines area. They are now at a 3 out of 5 on the severe weather index. It's actually come down the risk level for them, but we absolutely cannot rule out strong to devastating tornadoes in that part of Iowa.
A new study published in the New England Journal of Medicine finds that a breakthrough therapy first used in treating certain cancers is also effective in treating others. CBS's Dr. John LaPook.
Certain cancers with a certain type of mutation, and it's a relatively small percentage of cancers, they're able to put the brakes on our immune system, and that allows the tumor to grow. This new treatment is an antibody that releases those brakes, so the immune system can then go to work and attack the cancer.
And checking Wall Street, right now the Dow is down 150 points. This is CBS News.
A riddle brought to you by Progressive Insurance. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was an easy riddle. Learn more at Progressive.com.
High Place Market closed to traffic. How's that going? We'll take a look in a bit. But first, from the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk. In Kirkland, a crash is blocking 2 lanes on I-405 southbound at Northeast 124th Street. You're backed up nearly to Bothell. You have construction on eastbound 520 that has you backing up on I-5 northbound to Boeing Field. travel time, Federal Way to Seattle is about an hour right now, half an hour longer than usual. Seattle to Bellevue is 25 minutes, 10 longer than typical. Traffic brought to you by Lake Washington Windows and Doors. Through April, Lake Washington Windows is paying your sales tax plus giving you 18 months to pay for them. For details, visit lakewashingtonwindows.com.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good morning, I'm Heather Bosch. For a third time in a week, Tacoma police are investigating a shooting in the Salishan neighborhood. It happened overnight on East Q Street. A man died. A woman is in critical condition. In Thurston County.
Are you hurt?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Roll over towards me.
That's deputies arresting a driver they say rammed into a motorcyclist he had argued with, then backed up and ran over the biker. The biker is hospitalized. The driver initially took off, but deputies caught up with him. He was arrested this weekend on suspicion of DUI, vehicular assault, and felony hit and run. The price you pay for gas is poised to go up in the budget just passed by state lawmakers. KIRO 7 TV's Brandon Thompson reports.
A 6-cent per gallon increase has been sent to the governor for his approval. If he signs it, it could go into effect in July with 2% increases every year after that. The bill also creates a tax on luxury cars, motorhomes, boats, and non-commercial airplanes, as well as increases fees for licenses and registration.
They keep raising everything up. Rent is expensive. Everything is up. I don't think it's okay.
The annual increase advocates say is to keep up with inflation.
It is all part of an overall $78 billion state budget that includes $9 billion in new taxes. Pike Place Market is car-free under a pilot program that could become permanent. KIRO 7 TV's Deborah Horn found mixed reactions.
Seattle is restricting traffic in this bustling marketplace.
The car paradigm is part of the market.
Pianist Johnny Hahn has been busking here for nearly 40 years. He says he is already feeling the impact of the restrictions.
Since the traffic has been diminished, except for Saturday when it's busy no matter what, other days of the week, business has been really terrible.
Now that the cars are not here, it's actually quite nice. It's not as chaotic.
The owner of Rojo Juice says she welcomes the mostly vehicle-free zone.
The Seattle Seahawks took 11 players in the NFL draft that finished up over the weekend, and fans tell KIRO 7 TV.
That kind of got me hyped. I'm kind of ready for football season now.
Seahawks? I'm a diehard Seahawks fan. I'd say let it go, boys. Do your thing.
Among the highlights, the Hawks selected 6'6", 312-pound Gray Zabel of North Dakota State to bolster the O-line, Nick Emenwari, the safety from South Carolina, and Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Increasing showers today with highs in the upper 50s. It's 51 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with a KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
This is the Gee and Ursula Show with G. Scott and Ursula Reutin.
Hey, everybody. Happy Monday, April 28th. Ursula, I don't see no sun out there. What's the weather supposed to be this week?
Well, I don't think it's going to be nearly. We were spoiled last week. We were absolutely spoiled. So this is going to be, I think, more typical spring weather.
I want to stay being spoiled.
I know. It's going to come back. It's going to come back. It's still very pleasant. Yeah. Hey, coming up at 10:30, we have to talk about this bizarre interview. Y'all made kind of a big deal about it over the weekend, so I had to look, but I'm going to be mostly listening in on what y'all think about Bill Belichick and his girlfriend. Very, very young girlfriend who had a lot to say.
50 years difference.
Yes. But you have some theories, and I want you to share some of those theories. So we're going to have a little fun with that.
I'm going to need your help with my theories,
yes. As always, we invite you to join us on our text line, 888-973-5476, 888-973 KIRO. How are we doing on YouTube?
You know what? I ain't gonna lie. I haven't been on YouTube all day.
It's cracking. If you're not there, okay, yeah, we need you to stay engaged. We need you to stay engaged, or if you've always wondered what we look like, get on there.
Oh, it's 64 of y'all in there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Because we're leading the pack. We need to get to 100 real quick.
Okay.
Okay, but let's go.
What's new at 10?
In In the last hours of the legislative session, state lawmakers passed a $78 billion budget that includes a slew of tax increases, a cap on rent hikes, a new gun permit system, and more money for cops and schools. So we've talked about this budget shortfall that is looming large. It's now estimated at $16 billion over the next 4 years. So lawmakers are hoping to fill that gap with more than $9 billion in new taxes and close to $6 billion in cuts. So we were talking about winners and losers. Our legislative correspondent, Matt Markovich, is here.
You brought in loser. I'm the loser part of that.
No, but one of the ones that you were just showing me off the air, how business taxes are going to go up dramatically.
This is, I was showing Ursula, and I have in front of me, if you look on the line here, this is the actual taxes, the brand new taxes they're proposing. And of all the $9 billion of taxes over the 6-year period, $5.6 billion comes from the businesses, large businesses. So we've been talking about property taxes and everything else. Big business, especially tech businesses that involve selling services. They've got a new sales tax. There's a business opportunity. That is really raising concern by many people about whether or not businesses will move out of Washington State. And the reason why they're saying that now is that they're putting such a heavy emphasis on taxing services. Like if you're a consultant working with IT, you don't have you don't have to have a storefront in Washington, in downtown Seattle. You can be in Arizona, you can be anywhere and do that job. So they're afraid that a lot of these businesses that do services will move out.
There were several large business organizations that called this the biggest tax increase on business in years.
Microsoft was part of that, all the big companies, and they're going to get hit hard, and you can argue whether or not they can afford it. That's an argument, but that's what's going for. So what's going to happen next? What do we anticipate now? We've been talking about special session all this time. Could it happen? Maybe still. Most likely, no, because Ferguson yesterday made enough clues and they put enough into the budget, like the $100 million for police officers, increases in education spending, things that he wanted are in the budget with the hope that they would sweeten the pie so that he would say yes and not veto a line item veto, which is allowed in the state, or go to a special session and say, hey, I want to bring you back in 20 days and retool the whole budget.
So Democrats had wanted the wealth tax. That never made it.
Yeah, never made it. There was a proposal, the $4 billion one, never made it. They were going to do a little slimmed down version. That died last week. So that's totally off the table.
So I know you really, Matt, offhand, but it feels and seems like there's going to be a lot of cuts to mental health programs.
Correct.
There's going to be a lot of cuts to a lot of services that I think that a lot of us just take for granted. There's going to be a time where you make that phone call because before there was service for you and you were means for you to get that service, and you're going to call and like, oh, I'm sorry, we don't offer that anymore for free. Tell us about some of those cuts.
So I'm actually going to have somebody who will tell it for you real quickly. I'm going to see if I pull that. But anyway, you're correct that these cuts are going to hit a lot of human services, mental health, all kinds of, I guess I would basically...
Access to abortion services.
Yeah, I mean,
we saw that.
50% decrease in that, Ursula.
There was a lot of those services that are going to be delayed. I think when you heard the word cut, they talked about delaying a lot of these programs. And here's basically...
Are you looking for Joe Fitzgibbon?
Yes.
That soundbite? I've got it.
We will see reductions in state support for our 4-year colleges and universities, reductions in support for our community and technical colleges, reduction in state financial aid for students at independent colleges. We will see increases in co-pays for Washingtonians who utilize state child care services. We will see reduced number of slots in those child care settings. We will see 1 prison and 4 reentry centers closed, operated by the Department of Corrections. Those are a couple of the cuts that that I think have the potential to be visible to Washingtonians.
One of the things I did not see, though, is because the governor had suggested furlough days as a way to cut, or any large numbers of state employees being cut. Did not see any of that.
That's not happening. So that idea never made it into the budget. And so that is not happening at all, either at the state transportation level or at the big operating level, which is basically 120,000 employees in the state.
How about rent caps?
Yeah.
Rent caps, yes, that's on his way to the governor's desk. That's a controversial one, not part of the budget. But 7% increase plus inflation. And if it's more than 10%, it doesn't go any higher than or lower than 10%. It's going to be that's the limit. So that's moving forward. Very controversial. Again, because it was passed in the last couple of days, the governor has 20 days to figure out whether or not he wants to sign that into law. The transportation budget, which is that 6-cent increase, I think is the most impactful one that you and I will see right away. And come this summer.
Yeah, it goes into effect, July 1st, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's 6 cents right there on every gallon, starting from there.
And then it goes up each year.
2%, basically almost a penny a gallon, in a way. It's an incremental for the next 6 years. That's just that. And keep in mind, this is the main budget. They can come back in January and raise it more. They can. It's a supplemental at that point. They can come back and add more taxes to it. That's an important part for the transportation budget, because when you look at the bigger picture, what happened there? Nothing happened. We talked about RUC, road usage charge, charging you by the weight of your car. All those ideas went to the side, and all we did is do it. All we did was
tax everybody.
Yeah, all basically the legislature, I should say, not we, but the legislature did is do what they've always done. Go to the gas tax, raise more revenue money, and that's how they did it.
Okay, so one other question that I have for you, Matt, is as we're facing this budget deficit, how do they explain that even though we're dealing with a deficit over the next 4 years, they're increasing spending by $7.4 billion over the next 2 years?
Because of we just gave the state just gave all the employees a big raise. It was $1.6 billion. They baked that into the contract for the unions. So the costs are going up incrementally because they were planned costs going up. So that's what they're saying is that, yes, we're increasing spending because all the programs that will have an inflation increase or something else, it's going to cost more to run the state. So that's kind of how to answer your question. What Ferguson is looking for and what he will object to with his veto pen is whether or not any of these packages rely on this assumption that every year we're going to get 4.5% more revenue coming in.
It didn't happen, and this is one of the reasons why we're in the mess that we're in.
Exactly right. They just kind of did this forecast. It's all about forecasting, and the forecast was wrong. And now he wants real practical forecasting, I guess you can say, that will match this budget. And that's what he's going to be looking for over the next 20 days.
Okay, another controversial thing, and I know a lot of our listeners are going to weigh in on this one, is having to do with gun permits. So that did pass. It's not with the budget, but it did pass this session.
That's right. It did pass.
So what does that entail?
So basically that a person who now wants to buy a firearm going forward, starting, though, in 2027. So it's got a very long delay startup here in May. I think it's May 1st of 2027. You'll have to get a permit to buy any gun and pass a background check and do live fire training, 50 rounds, and pass that safety cast training set up by the state. And then you can get a permit and then go out and buy your gun. So that's what you have to do even before you have to buy a gun. So that's what that part. But all the other fees that are associated with this, I kind of looked at this, I found it interesting. They put $8.7 million that the state's going to gain from this bill in all the fees and licensing and everything else associated with just this bill going forward. They're going to make some money off it.
Okay. Gee, a couple of things, though. It's a mixed bag in terms of education, if education won. So, yeah, there was funding for K through 12 education, but they didn't ban cell phone use in schools, so depending on how you feel about that, that didn't happen, and it was talked about quite a bit. And then they didn't sign off on the whole free meals at school for every Washington public school student. That didn't happen either. So I would love to hear from all of you. How are you feeling about what happened this session? 888-973-5476, 888-973 KIRO. Matt, thank you. As always, you had one more thing?
I just want to make one more point, but just kind of an observation as a final thing on this.
Yeah.
Where we're going forward. And it was said yesterday by Jamie Peterson. So you got Jamie Peterson.
Democrat.
He's the lead Democrat in the Senate. And he basically gave a roadmap for where the Democrats in the state, the leadership I'm talking about here in the legislature, are going to go forward. And that is basically, we are going to tax big business and wealthy people to make up for all the social problems that we have in our state. I'm going to play that real quick if I don't have. Here we go.
This was a significant step forward and an opportunity for us to have sort of present a vision of what a world could look like in terms of better funded public schools and perhaps less regressive taxation if we were able to call on some of our most fortunate community members to contribute a higher share of their property.
And he was asked that question about the wealth tax and that they're going to try and come back next year and bring it.
I have no doubt that they will.
Other than that, that is the focus. And you saw we just talked about big business. That was the biggest hit of all the taxes here. That is their focus going from today moving forward. Very public about it now. We are going to go after the most wealthy businesses and the most wealthy people in our state to pay for our social problems. And that's what basically he said in that that soundbite.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I got a couple more things to say, Ursula. Well, not to Matt, but to you. You just ask how you feel, and everybody's weighing in on this conversation. And, I don't know if I'm really a hypocrite because I talk about how I don't like crime and all this stuff, but for some reason, Ursula, I watch a lot of gangster movies, okay? I really do. And right now, currently, one of the shows that I watch it's on MGM, and it's called The Godfather of Harlem. And it is basically following the life of Bumpy Johnson. Bumpy Johnson was this big gangster back in the day. His protege, his right-hand man was Frank Lucas. I mean, they sold heroin, and Bumpy Johnson was in cahoots with the Italians, right? The Italian gangsters and everything. Follow me on this one. Because I watch so many of those things, you can almost see the parallel between a gangster and a corporate thug. I'm not calling politicians corporate thugs, but I'm just saying just in general. You got the corporate thug, Ursula. These a lot of times are individuals who seek power and influences with shady practices and backdoor deals. And the gangsters, they try to get power through fear and intimidation and like real rough stuff, right? But corporate thugs usually operate in the legal framework of things, right? They're legal. It can't really be touched. You don't really find out about it until like, oh my goodness, they really gamed the system. Whereas the gangster is really within criminal enterprises. Here's my point. I don't feel good at all about this $78 billion tax budget. I feel like it is doing the same thing and continuing to try to just throw money, and we still have the real problems. I feel as if there's a Band-Aid that's put on top of things, and I feel like the only winners in this are politicians and bureaucrats, not the people.
What would you have wanted to see more of in this?
Okay, glad you said that. I would first like to more work being done at like real solutions. Like, for example, let's just take the fact that there's going to be cut to mental health services, right? We talked about mental health being one of the reasons, at least they're saying up there, for the alleged suspect in what's happening up there in Vancouver during the festival. I don't like that part of it. I also don't like the fact that you're going to this whole gas tax and this 6 cents thing that's going to be just automatically on.
I don't like the over reliance on taxes. I get that you have to increase taxes to pay for some services, but it always feels like it's the first thing that happens instead of being the last resort. It always feels like the go-to. And then we'll figure out the rest of it. And I know it drives people crazy when I say things like it can be a spending problem in addition to just not prioritizing right. But we're going to feel it. I mean, I just can't remember as many tax increases as we're talking about right now.
No, not at all.
At a time when a lot of people are hurting right now.
And I know sometimes, Ursula, I come from left field on these topics, but again, I'm not exaggerating when I tell you, I watch a lot of these gangster movies.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things, if you go back to Joe Kennedy, John F. Kennedy's father, and you all know, you go back to bootlegging and all that, like, there is a real, like, sometimes there's a very thin line between gangsters and sometimes politicians, right? Like, we demonize the gangsters like, oh, how dare you, the drug game and all this kind of stuff, which rightfully so. But we almost give in the business world, well, that's just business. Right?
Smart.
It's smart, right? But sometimes the gangster makes out less than the corporate thug. The corporate thug gets millions. The gangster might get hundreds of thousands and still get there. My point is that the more I start doing this job, Ursula, the more that I start to really see the game. And there's straight games being played. I'm gonna turn. I was gonna say I was gonna turn into somebody one of these times. All right, Ursula. Hey, are you okay with 73, 74-year-old dating a 24-year-old? You good?
I'm not. If that were my daughter, I'd be, get the heck out of there.
Yeah, you know what?
But
that's a good point.
Something is working out for those two.
Yeah. All right. Well,
so we'll talk about that next.
Gee Ursula.
This hour is brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington.
The Jake and Spike Show.
Weekdays, noon to 3.
There's a fire at the Cheesecake Factory.
Downtown.
They were already closing down that location. They had announced back in March. And I'm not suggesting this is what they did. Not at all. God bless them. Not in a million years. I love their club sandwich. This is an interesting coincidence.
I don't know, man, where there's smoke. I'm just saying.
Jake and Spike.
Weekdays, noon to 3.
On KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM. Watch the Jake and Spike Show live on YouTube.
It's time. The new phase of premium view lots at Natchez RV Resort is open. Don't miss your opportunity to get first pick. Tig, tell us about it.
Our new phase features incredible extra-large RV lots with amazing unobstructed views. And talk about privacy, nothing will be developed behind them. And these lots start at just $80,000.
Natchez RV Resort has 300 days of sunshine and year-round family fun. Pickleball, playground, dog park, miles of recreational trails. Plus, you have fishing, hunting, skiing, and golf nearby. And don't forget wine tasting. Yakima Valley has been voted the #1 best wine region in the U.S.
Natchez RV Resort also features a 4,300 square foot clubhouse with gourmet kitchen, great room, fitness center, showers, and laundry. Plus, the brand new saltwater swimming pool and hot tub are open and ready for you.
Get your perfect pick of Natchez RV Resort's premium view lots, starting at just $80,000. Reserve your showing now. 800-422-6009. 800-422-6009. NatchezRVResort.com.
Hey, how's your money situation? Are you ready for retirement? Well, if you want to know what the pros are doing to make wealth multiply and retire like royalty, then you need to listen to this show, Sound Path Through Retirement, with Ben Koval and Matt Leibarger. Get your money right and tune in every weekend, Saturdays at 10 a.m. and noon on KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM.
My wife and I have been married for over 15 years, and I've never had any complaints about my performance in the bedroom. But after I turned 40, things started feeling different. I was gaining weight, losing muscle, and I just wasn't interested in sex anymore. My wife told me her friend's husband went through the same thing, and it turns out he had low testosterone. So we booked a free T-check at Revive Health, and that's when I learned that my testosterone levels were low too. We worked with a provider to create a custom treatment plan, and today, my wife and I are having more fun than we did on our honeymoon. My only regret is not reaching out sooner.
If you're ready to book your free T-check, visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com or call 206-529-1111. Again, that's 206-529-1111.
We're here with our friend Steve Teitler of Best Mortgage, the reverse mortgage expert. Steve, mortgage rates have been dropping this year. How could that help seniors struggling to stay in their homes?
Lower mortgage rates means seniors can now get more money from their equity with a reverse mortgage. You can pay off your existing mortgage, have extra money to help with today's high cost of living, or believe it or not, you can even buy a home with a reverse mortgage. There are many uses, and best of all, you have no mortgage payments the rest of your life.
But as you always say, a reverse mortgage is not for everyone.
That's right. Avoid the high-pressure sales pitch from those out-of-state call centers. I give you a consultation, not a sales pitch. I'll tell you if a reverse mortgage is right for you, and I always tell you if it's not.
Honest advice you can trust from the reverse mortgage experts. Best Mortgage, the VA loan experts and debt consolidation specialists too. 425-649-6000. Best Mortgage, 425-649-6000.
It's John Curley for Window Nation. You know, April is a great time to spruce up around the house, especially during Window Nation's Buy 4, Get 4 free sale going on now. You could pay nothing up until 2027, and they'll include a free entry door too. Why do I trust Window Nation? Because they partner with Milgard in Tacoma to build top quality windows to their higher standards, and they back them with a lifetime warranty. Hurry, sale ends soon, so don't wait to schedule your estimate at 866-90Nation or visit windownation.com.
Have you heard the saying, chucking a truck? The guy running a roofing company out of his messy pickup? Well, here's the scary part. Washington doesn't require a test or experience to be a licensed roofer, and they definitely don't require a brick and mortar location. Chuck could be working out of his apartment with 0 employees, hiring random guys off the street. Yikes. And the SBA says 90% of roofers are out of business within 5 years. Jim here, Chief Roof Nerd at RoofSmart, where we do things right. We have a real location on Central Avenue in Kent and a team of 50 full-time roofing pros who actually know what they're doing. We're not some fly-by-night outfit. We've put down roots, or in our case, a cement foundation, so you'll always know where to find us. No disappearing acts, no cut corners, just top-quality work from people you can trust. That's RoofSmart. Come see for yourself, or call us at 206-487-4877, or visit us online at GetRoofSmart.com. That's 206-487-4877 or GetRoofSmart.com.
Charlie Harger here. When your hot turns to cold, you better think fast. Fast Water Heater. Call 1-800-THINK-FAST. That's 1-800-THINK-FAST or FastWaterHeater.com.
You better think fast. Fast Water Heater.
When the heat's in 11, cool AC would be heaven.
DayandNight.net.
Beat the rush. Act now before summer, because that heat's a real bummer.
DayandNight.net.
This is the time to plan ahead, so you stay cool this summer. Hi, I'm Bruce with Day and Night Plumbing and Heating. Call us about installing a high-efficiency cooling system or servicing your existing one so you're cool when you need it.
Now save up to $4,600 on qualifying cooling equipment.
DayandNight.net.
KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO Newsradio and mynorthwest.com.
Good morning, I'm Heather Bosch. Washington state lawmakers have passed a budget that includes nearly $9 billion in new taxes to handle a $16 billion budget cap. Senate Majority Leader Jamie Peterson says there's more money for education and affordable housing.
On those big initial objectives for the session, we're feeling very satisfied.
Republicans say the taxes will fall hardest on working families and that Democrats who controlled the legislature failed to rein in record spending. The plan is waiting for the governor's signature. We're hearing from a Seattle man who escaped when a car rammed into a crowd celebrating the Filipino culture in Vancouver, BC.
Devin Cabanilla attended the Lapu-Lapu Day Festival with his dance troupe, friends, and family, he says. Many of them missed the suspect's SUV by minutes amid questions about festival security.
Barricades was just like long plank of wood, and I don't remember seeing any police.
Of the 11 killed, the youngest was just 5 years old. Police say the 30-year-old suspect had a history of mental health issues. Devin and his dance troupe are back home safe. Luke Ducey, KIRO News Radio.
The Trump administration's border czar, Tom Homan, is pushing back against criticism after an undocumented mother was deported to Honduras along with her 2-year-old, who is a U.S. citizen.
If you choose to have a U.S. citizen child, knowing you're in this country legally, you put yourself in that position.
He says it was was the mother's decision to take the child with her. A federal judge today will hear arguments in the battle between the Trump administration and Harvard University. The school filed a lawsuit after the administration froze more than $2 billion in federal funding. CBS's Scott McFarland.
The university is making arguments that the administration is overreaching, and this legal battle will be watched closely by other colleges, other universities that may find themselves in the administration's crosshairs.
Overseas, authorities in Spain and Portugal are working to determine the exact cause of a massive power outage. It's halted subways, trains, cut phone service, and shut down ATMs for millions. Russian President Vladimir Putin is announcing a short-term ceasefire in the Russia-Ukraine war to coincide with Moscow's celebrations marking the end of World War II next month. CBS's Charlie D'Agata.
We have seen this in the past where Russia has sort of stepped forward. Ukraine, for its part, has said, look, why are we waiting till next month? Let's have a ceasefire now. The White House said, well, let's have a permanent ceasefire. So it's a gesture, maybe a gesture of goodwill.
But he points out both sides repeatedly violated an Easter ceasefire. On Wall Street, tariff concerns have the Dow down 224 points and the Nasdaq off 242. From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk in Kirkland, the crash has been cleared from I-405 southbound to Northeast 124th Street. Your backup's breaking up. You have construction on eastbound 520 that has you backing up on I-5 northbound to South Seattle. Travel time Federal Way to Seattle is about 42 minutes. That's still more than half an hour longer than typical. Seattle to Bellevue, 22 minutes, 10 longer than usual. Traffic brought to you by Custom Storage. Custom storage solutions for closets, garages, home offices, and more. ClosetsByDesign.com. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Increasing showers with highs in the upper 50s. It is 51 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
This is the Gee and Ursula Show. Text us at 888-973-5476, 888-973 KIRO. We also have a very active YouTube page, and a lot of you are enjoying watching the show on there. So the question right now is, what single 74-year-old guy wouldn't love to be Bill Belichick right now? He has this fantastic job at the University of North Carolina. He gets paid $30 million. He has 8 Super Bowl rings, and he has a beautiful 24-year-old girlfriend. So you might be saying, what's the problem? You got any issue with that? Now, there was an interview with CBS, and people are asking questions about the nature of Belichick and Jordan Hudson's relationship.
Jordan was a constant presence during our interview.
You have Jordan right over there. Everybody in the world seems to be following this relationship. They've got an opinion about your private life. It's got nothing to do with them, but they're invested in it. How do you deal with that?
Never been too worried about what everybody else thinks. Just try to do what I feel like is best for me and what's right.
How did you guys meet?
Not talking about this.
No?
No.
Okay, that was a little strange. CBS's Tony DeCopel noted that Hudson has posted about how they met on Instagram. Supposedly, she says they met while on a flight when Belichick noticed her reading deductive logic, and the two of them ended up having a conversation. Now, Bill is on Instagram as well.
You joined InstaFace, as you put it. I love that. There's some great pictures of you and Jordan where you're a fisherman and she's a mermaid. It's charming. It's a different side of you. What's the reaction been like?
What's it been like?
To have these different sort of photos. There's another one where you're doing, I know you're not into meditation or yoga or Pilates. You're balancing Jordan on your feet and she's doing kind of the Titanic pose.
Yeah, so I'm on some of those social media platforms, but I honestly don't follow them.
Okay, wait a minute.
I know. So
something's not right here.
So I remember when I first started watching football, my dad had me, obviously the Bears were a thing, but I was watching the New York Giants. And some of you listening remember when Lawrence Taylor and that team, Phil Simms was their quarterback. Well, their defensive coordinator, head coach was Bill Parcells. Their defensive coordinator was Bill Belichick during that time. And then after that, later on, he got a head coaching job with the Cleveland Browns. That lasted he was in and out of there fast. And then he became coach of the New England Patriots. I've known people that have played for Bill Belichick. And the one thing they have always said, Ursula, is how much of a football genius he is. Like real genius, almost like Rain Man. They would tell me that.
Okay. And I think that's key.
Right. So it wasn't until yesterday that it just like slapped me in the face. Now, I don't know if what I'm saying is proper. And I hope you guys don't get mad at me. I'm just going to give you something that's on my heart. Yesterday was the first time that I said to myself, oh, I think Bill Belichick is on the spectrum. Right?
He's brilliant.
Because
he's brilliant at football.
Right. And then his interviews, when he does interviews throughout his entire time, if you've ever seen Bill Belichick do an interview, he does not like to do those interviews.
He always has a monotone voice.
Mm-hmm.
He always sounds like irritated. I mean, one of the things would be, does he miss social cues? I mean, she interjected, and we're putting a lot into this because obviously a lot of people have criticism because she's 24 and he's 74. And already that's highly unusual. But for her to be kind of controlling what he says, Bill Belichick is a multimillionaire. He is very much an adult. He's had an accomplished career. He's a very successful guy. Why can't he speak for himself? And why can't he say how you guys met? Because I think there's a concocted story about how they met.
Oh, for sure. And by the way, I don't know how they met. I don't know. But I'll tell you what, when I heard her say that and popped up, oh, I got that energy. You know what I mean? I'm talking about that energy that made me say to myself, like, whoa, wow, okay. That feels like an energy of, like, we've seen the movies. You guys have seen a lot of the movies. As a matter of fact, every time Best Actress, Best Film is always a film centered around Pretty Woman, right?
Uh-huh. Elliot Spitzer?
You could feel that. Ursula, you could feel that energy, right? But either way, you know what I said after that yesterday? I said, you know what, Bill? I get it. I get it now.
You get something from each other.
Absolutely. Yes.
There's clearly something. And so for us to judge, I mean, this is ultimately how I felt like, do I really care? No. I mean, it's something people are talking about. But ultimately, it's like, I'm glad that's not my daughter because I would counsel her differently.
Yeah. But you could tell usually if that was your daughter.
She's the age of my youngest son.
Probably for her to be in that situation, there's something else going. Like a 24-year-old.
She's getting very much something out of it too.
Yeah.
In addition to the companionship.
And so is Bill.
Yes, exactly.
I think Bill has somebody that can talk for him now, somebody that makes him comfortable in public settings. And I'm not exaggerating. I think Bill is living his best life because I think she gets him because maybe
at 24.
That's what they do though, right? Like these folks in that profession, they get the older men, right? They get them. I don't know.
Doesn't this also kind of seem like she might be kind of controlling his communications?
Clearly, in this
we've seen that play out time and again before, where older celebrities, say Richard Simmons, and kind of disappears, and someone's controlling the estate.
Ooh, well, yeah. In this case, though, he's very much in the public eye still. Yeah. But he's got a very public job.
But again, like you said, Ursula, I think these two are both giving each other something.
Yeah.
She gets something, he gets something. And you know what? That's what relationships are. Right now, your significant other, your significant other gives you something, you give her something, or him something, whoever. We good. 50 year difference.
Someone was wondering if Robert Kraft might have introduced them. Interestingly enough, by the way, he is Robert Kraft being the owner of the.
You know, I by the way, I just want, can I tell y'all the truth about something? I had a whole nother half to my point that I had to disregard. And I had to disregard it because where's my son headed to next weekend?
Oh, no.
Look, y'all, trust me. I had an entire second half of a point that was going to make it all make sense. But I had to abort.
Otherwise, your son would be, Dad, you've opened your mouth too much.
Y'all heard me. I kept this strictly Bill Belichick, and I give in.
Interestingly enough, though, Bill Belichick has a book, and he did not mention Robert Kraft in that book.
Yeah.
even though I think they had a very close relationship at one point.
And neither did I. Well, y'all are witnesses. I stay on bill. Coming up next, scenarios. Gee Ursula.
The John Curley Show, weekdays 3 to 7.
The guy that was a hitman for the Gambino. He's part of the Gambino family, yeah. And there was a motivational speaker. He's in this, talking to a bunch of, grade school kids. He's like, listen, you guys gonna be okay. Just don't be snitches. They get stitches.
John Curley, weekdays 3 to 7 on KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM. Watch The John Curley Show live on YouTube.
It may be the most noble profession.
Come on.
It's the work of heroes.
Heroes?
You want to live without plumbing?
Well, no.
Then you need plumbers.
Right.
Thing is, so do I.
You need plumbers.
Smiles, actually.
Smiling plumbers?
Or someone who smiles and wants to become an Apollo plumber.
A smile. That's what it takes?
Skills are something we can teach.
Sure.
But a positive attitude comes from within.
That's a big part of being an Apollo plumber.
The biggest part.
What else?
A desire to learn and serve.
Just like every Apollo plumber.
As they learn, so shall they earn.
Earn?
Apollo plumbers can earn 6 figures.
Enough to make me smile.
We believe you get what you give.
Give a smile.
And Apollo service.
Get a smile.
A well-paid smile.
Driving one of those big blue Apollo trucks.
That's the goal.
Does seem pretty noble.
It's important, satisfying work.
And you're looking now?
There's always room for another smile around here.
On the Apollo Plumbing team.
Apply at apolloplumbing.com.
Treat yourself to a teriyaki salmon meal at Ivar's Seafood Bar. A grilled wild Alaskan salmon fillet with a teriyaki glaze, served with coconut pineapple rice and sesame ginger coleslaw for $15.99. And don't forget Ivar's Fish Sandwich, named the best fish sandwich in America by Eat This, Not That. Only $13.99. Available in all Ivar's Seafood Bars from Marysville to Tacoma and throughout Seattle, but not in Ivar's Fish Bars nor the Salmon House, Pier 54 or Mukilteo Landing. Find out more at ivers.com.
Well, this week's First Mark Challenge victory goes to Andre. Andre, why did you call First Mark Insurance?
My wife and I were going to get married, and we wanted to combine our insurance for both home and auto.
Were they able to save you any money?
The money they quoted us was actually the same as what we were paying separately. However, the coverage that we received was immensely greater than what we were previously receiving. It's quite scary how unprotected we were with our previous coverage. Under First Mark, I'd probably say we doubled the coverage that we had. It was a huge deal.
What would you tell others they can expect when they make that call to First Mark?
Take the 15-minute phone call. It's totally free. It's not going to cost me a thing. And the very least that could happen is just gain a better understanding. The best that could happen is you could either save money or get much better coverage, which is exactly what happened.
Andre did it. My family did it. You got to do it, and it's totally free. Take the First Mark Challenge today. See how much they can save you and how much better your coverage will get. Maybe you will be our next First Mark Challenge victory. Just go to firstmarkinsurance.com.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Cars for Kids, the easy way to donate your car. Donate today and your car can be picked up tomorrow. Go to carsforkids.com or 1-877-CARS4KIDS.
What do you get when you assemble 50 manufacturers with over 400 new and used RVs plus manufactured homes on 20 acres? You get an RV buyer's dream. The Puyallup RV Show, May 1st through 4th. Free parking. Get tickets at PuyallupRVShow.com.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
Hartley Wilcox here from Wilcox Family Farms. A question we get asked a lot this time of year is, how do the hens stay warm when it's so cold out? Of course, we have nice barns to protect them from the rain, wind, and snow. But also, their feathers are like a down jacket, and if they need additional warmth, they will often snuggle together. And for those very cold days, we have heaters to keep them comfortable and happily laying eggs. Wilcox is committed to organic, humane practices that keep our hens healthy and help preserve the land. When you choose food from local family farmers like Wilcox, you support the local economy with jobs and promote environmental sustainability, making it possible for our family to keep on producing great eggs for another 100 years. Pick up Wilcox eggs at Costco, Marlene's, and Hagen's. And for a healthy snack on the go, grab some ready-to-eat, pre-peeled, hard-boiled eggs in a convenient to-go 2-pack. Wilcox Family Farms, locally fresh since 1909.
Through April, Lake Washington Windows and Doors is paying your sales tax, plus giving you 18 months, same as cash financing. For details, visit lakewashingtonwindows.com.
What's up, everybody? It is the Gee and Ursula Show. How is your Monday going? As a matter of fact, one of the questions I asked Ursula, and I'm going to ask you right now, how is your approval rating at home? Would you say it's 80%? Would you say it's 40% like the president? Ursula, what's your approval rating at home?
I'm going to say right now, especially in light of the fact that we went to Korean barbecue last night and all of us are together and we're doing a lot to help our sons move into their new place.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's about 98%.
Okay. Chef, what's your approval rating at home?
Probably 4 out of 5, 80%.
Okay.
Pretty good.
Nick?
I'm always 100%. I'm record-setting approval rating.
Okay.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, let's go scenarios.
Wait. What's your approval rating? Improved.
Let's see. I made a steak last night. See, your approval rating always is high when you make food.
Uh-huh. Or buy good food.
Oh, right?
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? Here we go. I've been seeing a guy, and I'm starting to care about him, which is strange for me. For once in my life, I'm trying not to jump into bed with him too soon. We've gotten close, like seriously close, but when I said no, he acted like he couldn't handle it. And now he's acting like he's about to lose his mind, complaining that he can't wait any longer. Now, I'm not holding out for a ring, but I want to honor the 90-day rule. Now, here's the problem. He's about to head out for the weekend with his buddies.
Oh, God.
He didn't say what they were up to, but I can imagine he's going to try and take care of his needs. Do I give in and do what he wants? I want to, but I'm trying not to do it differently. I'm trying to do it differently these times. 90 days. I'm worried that if I do keep doing this, I might lose him, especially after this trip. What's a girl supposed to do in this mess? 888-973-5476. Ursula, you have the bat first.
Couple of things stand out. One is that you are worried because you didn't give in to his demands that you might lose him now that he's going to go out of town. So, A, you're telling me he's just not that into you. B, what's with the 90 days? If that's what you decided and you want to stick to it, then stick to it. That's what you have said,
right?
And that's what you have stated to him. Hopefully, you're not using that or dangling that in any sort of way. Just say, "Hey, that's my rule," and he can take it or leave it. And he may decide he wants to leave it.
For sure.
Right?
For sure. Especially if he going with his buddies.
I know you were kind of chuckling about that a little too much, a little too uncomfortably for me, honestly.
Well, here's the thing, and I'll tell you why. If you're worried about it, there's a reason.
Yeah. Exactly. No, exactly.
You know him better than we do.
Exactly.
So that's all.
Exactly.
First of all, when someone's begging for something, that's a pretty good sign you should not be with that person.
Yes.
But also, I'm gonna call horse hockey on your 90-day rule, because women that have rules about how long the period is that they'll wait usually never had that rule for about 5-10 years until they decided, oh, you know what? I have a rule now. But if they met the right person, there'd be no rule. That tells you all you need to know. Yeah. You would not have a rule if you were into this guy.
And by the way, before I get to you, Nick, now...
can I disagree with that one?
Go ahead. Yeah,
sure.
You can. Go ahead.
Sorry, because I think that there are some women who've also been raised to think, A, they might have the goal of, I'm not going to even have sex until I'm married. A, that's one. B, it would be, yeah, I'm not going to sleep with you on the first night. I'm not going to sleep with you after the first week. I'm not going to sleep with you after the first month. They might have in their head a certain amount of time they think, okay, this is someone who I could see myself with, and I have great respect for that.
I'm just saying I've never run across them in real life.
Okay.
Oh, well.
I'm going to say that
I disagree.
I would fall into the category of someone who you would have run into.
So before I get to you, Nick, I'll just simplify this. Now, I want to just kind of be serious for a second. Ma'am, listen. If he's really into you, if he really is like he says you think that he is, then this wouldn't even be a problem. But the fact that you're worrying about this, that in itself is a red flag to you. You see what I'm saying? Like, if the dude really rocks with you, he don't care about a 90-day rule.
No, bingo.
That's facts.
Bingo. He'll wait as long as it takes.
No, sweeping statement. If the dude is really into you, he don't care about waiting.
And then I'm going to just bring my own story back up again.
Yeah.
My sweet husband waited until I broke up with someone else, when every one of his friends was like, dude, you are crazy.
Sure did. That's what I'm saying. But again, the dude has to be really into you.
Yes.
A dude into you will do whatever. Now, dude not so into you, okay,
Yeah, right.
whatever about that 90-day rule.
Yeah, you're worrying about it. There's going to be something you have to worry about every time he goes out of town.
What do you got, Nick?
Well, this is just a huge setup for a letdown. If you want to stick to your rule, follow through, because if you think you're going to save your feelings from hurt by breaking this one time before he heads out, you'll have a bigger surprise on your hands after he comes back breaking the rule you two made after that. You know, I might be wrong and he might come back loyal, but with the sounds of it and the amount of time that you've had with him, it sounds like it's not going to be in your favor.
Sharon Piala said, I told my now husband it was going to be a 6-month wait. That lasted 2 months. Okay, Sherry.
Okay, wait. Rachel, see, though.
What'd she say?
After this scenario, I want to know why Nick thinks he's 100% at home.
There was a little sarcasm.
Sean in Parkland says, I have 2 teenagers and a wife going through menopause, so I don't know what my rating is right now.
If you're very understanding and kind, it'll go, your approval rating will go really high.
Now, if you have an ask of your significant other, like, you want to go do something, you better make sure your approval rating is at a all-time high before you ask.
It's good to actually check in every once in a while. I'm going to ask my husband.
Long live Mark.
Uh-oh. His approval rating might be a little different than my son's.
Good point. All right, everybody. If we have agree to disagree, I'm going to check in with the text line and, excuse me, not the text line, that too, but the YouTube and see what you guys are talking about. Coming up next, Columbus Day. The White House is excited to bring that back. What do you think? Talk about it next. Gee Ursula.
Enjoy your drive home with the John Curley Show.
You don't realize the connection you make through radio. Just this thing where people are stuck in their car and you develop this relationship.
Weekday afternoons from 3 to 7 on KIRO Newsradio.
Start having fun. Caesar Sportsbook at Muckleshoot Casino Resort is your #1 place to eat, drink, watch, and have fun. Keep up with your favorite sports anywhere and everywhere on property with the mobile app. Visit muckleshootcasino.com today. Scan the QR code and let the play begin.
Muckleshoot. Steel walk behind, zero turn, and stand-on mowers are built to get the job done. Shop online or at your local Steel dealer. Steel, let's go mow.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
I've always been a super athletic guy, but after I turned 40, I noticed I was slowing down. Instead of hitting the gym after work, I spent my evenings on the couch with a bag of chips. I was gaining weight, losing muscle, and when I did try to work out, I ran out of energy right away. One of my buddies suggested I book a free testosterone check at Revive Health, and that's when I learned that low T doesn't just impact how guys perform in the bedroom. I worked with a provider to create my custom treatment plan, and today I'm feeling stronger than ever. Last week, I even set a new PR at the gym. My only regret is not reaching out sooner.
If you're ready to book your free T-check, visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com or call 206-529-1111. Again, that's 206-529-1111.
KIRO FM and HD1 Tacoma, Seattle. This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Cammie McCormick. As the president marks 100 days in office, his administration is highlighting its efforts at curbing illegal immigration. Nancy Cortez at the White House.
The administration is going to be touting their first 100 days accomplishments all week long, but it is no accident that they are starting out today with this big push on immigration. We had a briefing with the president's so-called border czar, Tom Homan, where he made the case that the administration has effectively sealed off the border, and that's something you're going to hear echoed by the president himself this afternoon in the Oval Office.
There are a number of cases that continue to draw scrutiny, including that of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a Maryland man mistakenly deported to El Salvador. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt this morning continued to insist it's in the hands of El Salvador's president.
El Salvador does not intend to smuggle a designated foreign terrorist back into the United States. He is an El Salvadorian national. That is his home country. That is where he belongs. And the administration intends to comply with what President Bukele said of El Salvador. He does not intend to send that individual back.
CBS's Scott McFarlane is following this case.
The federal judge who ordered Abrego Garcia be returned from El Salvador has a deadline of Wednesday at her court in Greenbelt, Maryland, for answers from the administration about what's being done to get Abrego Garcia back, why he's there at that jail in the first place, and some of the other questions she has submitted. She is not going to accept as an answer what the press secretary said today.
A massive blackout in Spain and Portugal has hundreds of people trapped in elevators at airports and on stopped metro trains. CBS's Holly Williams is following that.
Play was also suspended at the Madrid Open tennis tournament, and there are reports from both countries that traffic lights stopped functioning, resulting in traffic jams. The mayor of Madrid is asking residents to keep their movements to a minimum to keep the roads clear.
Parts of the upper Midwest are bracing Watching for severe weather today, there is a potential for strong tornadoes in southern Minnesota, northern Iowa, and western Wisconsin. Meteorologist Art Jarrett in La Crosse, Wisconsin.
We could see these winds up to 45 to near 55 miles per hour with damaging winds. Large hail of an inch size possible. We'll also see the potential for tornadic activity.
2 rounds are expected in the afternoon and evening. The Kremlin has declared it will observe a 72-hour ceasefire in Ukraine starting May 8th to mark Moscow's defeat of Nazi Germany in 1945. The White House said today President Trump would prefer a permanent ceasefire. On Wall Street, the Dow is down 65. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
A Tacoma neighborhood dealing with the 3rd shooting in 1 week. That story coming up, but first from the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk. In Kirkland, the crash has been cleared from I-405 southbound at Northeast 124th Street. Your backup is breaking up now. You have construction eastbound on the 520 bridge. Travel time Seattle to Bellevue is about 10 minutes longer than usual. This has you backed up a bit on I-5 northbound, too, down to about Chinatown International District. Travel time Federal Way to Seattle is picking up, though. It's about 30 minutes, only 5 longer than usual. Traffic brought to you by Lake Washington Windows and Doors, offering premium windows that are 25% more efficient and reduce outside noise by 50%. LakeWashingtonWindows.com.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and MyNorthwest.com.
Good morning, I'm Heather Bosch. For a 3rd time in 1 week, Tacoma police are investigating a shooting in the same neighborhood.
2 people shot Sunday night in Tacoma's Salishan neighborhood. Police say an adult female was taken to the hospital in stable condition. An adult male in critical condition died at the hospital. Last Monday, a Mount Tahoma high school junior was killed. Last Tuesday, gunshots forced Blix Elementary School into lockdown. No injuries there. For this latest shooting in the same neighborhood, detectives are calling it a homicide. No arrests so far. Luke Ducey, KIRO News Radio.
A judge has sentenced a man to nearly 50 years in prison for fatally shooting the beloved owner of Tacoma's Little Store in 2023. 60-year-old Sook Park knew many of his customers by name. Surveillance video obtained by the News Tribune shows he had his hands raised when he was fatally shot by Angel Mendez, who was 18 at the time. Get ready to pay more at the gas pump. State lawmakers have approved an increase in the gas tax.
That tax will start at 6 cents per gallon in July. This brings the state's per gallon gas tax from 49 cents up to 55. After that, the tax will grow by 2% increases annually. Lawmakers say this will address an $8 million budget shortfall in the state's transportation budget.
KIRO 7 TV's Brooke Griffin says the tax hike now goes to Governor Bob Ferguson for his signature. With the NFL draft in the books, Seahawks fans are looking ahead. More from KIRO 7 TV's Jake Chapman.
They are happy with their head coach and GM on how they're putting their team together.
I feel like this year we're actually going to have a really big change.
That kind of got me hyped. I'm kind of ready for football season now.
Seahawks? I'm a diehard Seahawks fan.
The Seahawks drafted 11 players in this year's draft over the weekend. Fans hope these guys are ready.
We have a lot of losing seasons between the Seahawks and the Mariners, dude. Just stay loyal. That's all I'm about.
As they welcome them all to Western Washington.
Minicamp starts in May. Another home run for Cal Raleigh.
Cal Raleigh, fly ball, lofted right field, number 10, inbound, gone!
His 10th of the season in yesterday's game against the Miami Marlins. The M's win at 7-6. It's the 6th straight series win for the Mariners. They're off today and host the LA Angels tomorrow. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Increasing showers today with highs in the upper 50s. It's 51 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with a KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
This is the Gee and Ursula Show with G. Scott and Ursula Reutin.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday, April 28th. You know what I was thinking, Ursula?
What's that?
The month of April has flown by. It's getting ready to be May this weekend, y'all.
I know.
I mean, for real. It has flown by. It is getting ready to be May of 2025. As a matter, I'd argue that this year has been going by fast.
Oh, I was going to say, we are already 1/3 of the way through with 2025. That's nuts.
Yeah, that is. That is nuts. We got a lot of stuff going on 11 o'clock hour.
Yeah, we do. Coming up at 11:30, we're going to hear from our friend, Dr. Angela Rasmussen, who was actually on 60 Minutes recently.
She actually going to join us?
No.
Oh.
But we are going to talk about what she discussed on 60 Minutes. And then there was some other news out of 60 Minutes.
Yeah. I just want to say, Chef made a very good point the other day. I saw that. I sent that to you guys when Dr. Rasmussen was on 60 Minutes.
Talking about bird flu.
I cannot wrap my head around that right now either. Like, I just, my brain won't let me. So at 11:30, I'll be here, but it's hard for me to get in there. I don't think my heart, my soul can take it.
Should we wait until your soul can take it and talk about something else?
No, because that's just me. I think the people need to hear what she said.
Okay.
So we'll do it at 11:30. But right now, Agree to Disagree, brought to you by Garden Freaking Gutters.
One of these days, we just got to take off the gloves. Just really go at it.
After Joe Biden became the first president to recognize Indigenous Peoples Day, Donald Trump is reversing course, posting on social media on Sunday, "I'm bringing Columbus Day back from the ashes. The Democrats did everything possible to destroy Christopher Columbus, his reputation, and all of the Italians that love him so much." Gee, Scott, your reaction? We're getting Christopher Columbus Day back.
This is another reminder that some people will do anything to cling to outdated symbols of oppression. This seems to be an ongoing conversation about this historical representation right here. And you know what, Ursula? It bothers me that this man is still, Christopher Columbus, that is being highlighted. And you cannot break down. You can go read all the history books you want. You can't come away with Christopher Columbus doing good things here on this soil. It is so disrespectful to our indigenous people. It is so awful, not only to do what has been done to indigenous people, but to continue to remind them. And you're reminding them by telling them and celebrating Columbus Day. One more thing to add to the chaos.
And I think that's all this is, because his poll numbers came out, 41% approval rating as his 100-day mark nears. I'm just looking at this headline right now. The economy is tanking. There are all these negative headlines coming up. And this is one way, just like the plastic straws announcement, where he feels like he can make some quick wins. I mean, think about it. So, for a lot of people, all they know is in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. That's about as far as they've gone. They haven't really looked very deep into the history. And if you only have a very superficial knowledge of what Christopher Columbus did, and it's a complex, complicated history, but there's no doubt that some horrific things happened to indigenous people. So that part you need to read about and understand why there has been a move to get away from this whole idea of making it Christopher Columbus Day. But I got to point something out. Christopher Columbus Day has never actually lost its status as a federal holiday. It has been a federal holiday since 1968 under President Lyndon Johnson, and it hasn't changed.
Oh my gosh, really?
Are you kidding?
No. Are you saying that this is yet another problem that the GOP has created and then claimed victory over?
Yes.
A fake problem?
So it's still, So there are states, including our own, that celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day. Yeah. But I think it's just a distraction, and I don't think we should get too hung up on it, because it's just a blip in the whole. It's just like the Gulf of Americas versus Gulf of Mexico.
I want people, because Cody from Montesano, by the way, this is par for the course. He says, love it. Keep Columbus alive. All right.
He's dead.
I'll say this, Ursula. Try to go on the other side. Help me understand why anybody thinks, give me a real reason why Christopher Columbus, should be celebrated.
Because, he did make some discoveries. It's just not the ones that everybody celebrates. I mean, so if you look at it, I mean, he did change the way exploration was done, but some, right? I mean, so you can look at how the world was viewed, but I mean, people already figured out the world was round before Christopher Columbus.
And he wasn't the first. But
he wasn't the first in the Americas.
Probably among the worst.
Exactly. But, you know, there were
I'm trying to figure out how he'd be celebrated.
There were things that he accomplished, but again, I think he was given credit for many things that he really wasn't the one who discovered, as we've come to find out.
I'm endlessly amused by that strategy of creating a problem and then declaring victory over a problem that never existed. Like Elon Musk saying, the woke mind virus is over, or we've won the war on Christmas when nobody thought there was a war on Christmas or the Gulf of America, or we won the war on critical race theory, the migrant invasion is over, no more open borders. Spoiler, there never was an open border, and there still is no open border because, you know, the majority of illegal drugs come through legal points of entry. The majority of undocumented immigrants come through visa overstays. So it's just like this long tradition of creating problems and then pretending that, oh, we've done something to solve it.
Yes. And to answer your question, why should it be sought? And I actually asked my husband because he is like a history buff. And so Columbus's voyages in 1492 marked the beginning of major European exploration. And that is what he is given credit for. It's just he's been given too much credit and without looking at the bad things that happened.
But a national holiday.
Yes.
Which we agree is a little bit more than acknowledging.
Yes. I mean, it's been since 1968 under President Johnson.
This guy's being celebrated.
Yes. And when you know more, you do better, right? I mean, that's what it should be. But it's still a federal holiday.
And for all of you history, just look it up. It tells you about Christopher Columbus. All right, Chef, what do you got?
All right. Well, speaking of foreign imports, you're going to have to pay a lot more for them under the new tariffs and the regime. Ursula, the administration says, of course, that the goal and the aim is to bring back manufacturing to the USA. There was a showerhead company who took on this belief that people will pay more for made in the USA. Do you think people will pay more for things made here?
I think many people would. And I think that I have when I see that something is of significantly better quality. And a lot of times I believe it is. But I'll also say, give me a break. A lot of the people who claim that they would are still buying from Shein. They're still buying from some of these other Chinese companies and websites that make basically what I call throwaway clothing. If you're buying from Amazon, so much of what you buy clothing-wise is made in China. So I would agree that some people would be willing to pay more, but we've got so many people who are living paycheck to paycheck, and they're going to get the best deal, not necessarily the best quality. And by the way, there are people who have a lot of money who also still do that.
We can't even get people to agree that people should be making a higher minimum wage. Y'all want to tell me that here in America that people would rather pay more for things that are made here? You mean, who remembers where MAGA flags were made at? Y'all know? Look it up. Where are MAGA flags made from, y'all? Those hats, them flags, wasn't in the United States. Like, this whole idea, like, look, the toothpaste is out of the tube. Most people want to get things as cheap as possible. Hence the reason why Walmart is a big place for people to go. What?
No, but haven't you purchased? I mean, there are some things that say made in USA, and you know they're of great quality, and I will pay more for that.
I'm not paying more for commodities and tchotchkes and little items for around my house, right? Like in the same way that I'm not going to go to Mexico and buy, some of the tourist schlock that's actually made in China and says it on the bottom because it's not authentic. Like my wife wants to buy a ukulele. So we could get one on Amazon for nothing, but she wants to get one from a local woodworker who does that. So if it's something that's special and has meaning, absolutely more.
Yes.
This showerhead company, Afina, they ran A/B tests on their website listing their shower heads for either $129 made in Asia or $239 made in USA, which would reflect the actual cost of the product were it made here. And they found that amongst the thousands of people that saw this, exactly 0 of them went for the option of made in the USA. Because, like, ultimately, do we care if it's made in the USA, if it's just a utility, a tool, a utensil? No. Does it work? Does it not? That's what matters.
Exactly. And is it going to last? Unless it is known as a brand that it basically gives higher status. And I'm thinking of certain brands of appliances, for example.
Mm-hmm.
If you know that you've got faucets made by XYZ, or you know what I'm talking about, or your kitchen appliances. Yeah. Then people are willing, because you can also resell it for a higher price.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Bless Jeremiah's heart. He just said, gee, the originals were made in USA, not just the copies. Look, Trump hats, flags, look it up. They were mass produced in China. This isn't, I'm not making that up. And by the way, you could text in on the text line and tell me if I'm wrong.
Okay, but there's so many other things made in China. The fact that you brought those up.
I mean, are we staying on schedule here? The same people that just told you need to go buy a Tesla now.
Be a little hypocritical, right? Okay, well, if you're looking to export yourself, perhaps your voyage abroad could get a little bit more complex. The question of whether airlines should have a drink maximum, has come up. Ryanair's CEO has proposed a 2-drink max at airports, and potentially the same for flights, depending on the length. This is in the Seattle Times Travel Troubleshooter column today. So do you think we should have a limit or a ban on booze on flights?
Yes.
Oh.
I'm going to say yes. Yeah. And I'm just going to say that on behalf of flight attendants who have to deal with the aftermath of people who have been drinking for now hours at the airport. And then I don't know why they feel like they need to continue drinking on the plane too.
Yeah.
I think we just have too many belligerent, out of control people when you are traveling 30,000 feet up in the air, and there's not a whole lot that you can do. And one of the things would be just to limit how much alcohol is consumed.
Yeah.
I would be, of course, I don't drink.
You know, there's
I'd be in favor.
There's 2 places that is just weird to me when I see people plastered drunk. One is on an airplane, and 2 is at a sporting event. Like, fam, how are you so drunk like that and you're here with your son? Or your kids. Like, it's just
bonding moment.
It's just weird. So
the reality is they can't control it.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah, and you have people that can't. I'll say this, Ursula. I'm going to have to go on the other side of you. I don't like the idea of telling someone that they can only have a 2-drink minimum.
A maximum.
Maximum at an airplane or like, let them do what they want. Like, we can't get into that.
I mean, but you can make that decision at a bar.
Because you'd have irate sober people or sober-ish people. I think what's crazy is there's no over-service rule on an airplane, right? So if a bartender here in the United States gets me too liquored up and they don't notice that I'm hammered, they're liable for whatever actions I do afterwards. Yet you can overserve the heck out of somebody on an airplane, and they could end up with, a federal case on their hands. And that flight attendant, that airline bears no responsibility. I guess, like, viewed under that light, to protect themselves, it would make sense, right? Hold them liable and then also have a maximum.
Cody from Montesano says, I have to have 5 to even get on a plane.
It's my anxieties, y'all.
I do know people who do have severe flight anxiety, who use the alcohol as a coping mechanism. I get that, but again,
there may be better anxiety.
There might be a better option for you.
Yeah, potentially, but not one you can buy off the shelves. Let's see. I got to go back to the draft and Shedeur Sanders. So several rounds before he was actually chosen, he received a phone call from a team purporting that they had picked him in the NFL draft, but it was a prank call. The person who pranked him is the son of the Atlanta Falcons defensive coordinator, and he's the one that called Shedeur. Was that a hilarious prank or leaning towards a crime? What do you think, G?
Leaning towards a crime. I hated that whole ordeal. The coach whose son it was, I know him. I remember when he was here, he was a special teams coach with the Seahawks back in like 2010, 2011.
Really?
Yeah, Jeff Ulbrich. And it was his son, and his son leaves a message basically saying, Ursula, that I saw an iPad at my father's house, and I unintentionally went in it and found Shedeur's phone number in there, and so that's how it got out. I think this is reckless because the NFL was doing an investigation, so they came clean on this. I think it's terrible, and this is one example. You know, Ursula, there are some people that will lose their jobs today on the smallest things. Somebody's going to lose their job for something small. Sometimes I get blown away. Something like this, somebody should lose a job. Somebody should lose their job for this. But they won't because, okay, you can blame it on the son. The son went and got. So that iPad that you had with all personal information of others, you just loosely just leave it around in your house like that?
It's
not a signal chat, dude.
It's definitely the. I just thought it was a punk. It was a punk move. It was mean. It was mean-spirited. It wasn't really funny. Already the cameras were all on him. And however you feel about this, is still a young man. Shedeur is not. He's a young man who, obviously was waiting for something that didn't happen as soon as he thought, and it was just like further humiliation.
Dad should lose his job. Dad should lose his job.
If they could prove that it was his, they've already said it is his laptop, and that's how he got it.
It is, yeah. He lose his job. And by the way, no, it's not a crime. I didn't say he should go to jail. He should lose his job.
Yeah. Well, Chef asked the question: is it leaning toward a crime? I don't think it's anywhere close to a crime. I think it's
someone.
Just a crap
check this
move.
out. If someone in my house got my phone and got numbers of people that I know, and then they start prank calling, and it gets back to me, should I lose my job?
Anyone else out there get a car key and a little miniature vehicle for their 16th birthday, and then turns out like the Hot Wheel was the only car that they actually got? Kind of falls into the same category for me.
Yeah.
Immature uncle, immature kids.
Immature. Yeah. But this is like the biggest stage, though. That was just a bad move.
Hey, coming up next here on the Gee Ursula Show, you guys remember Dr. Angela Rasmussen? She kind of carried us through the pandemic. She was on with us every single Tuesday. Well, she was on 60 Minutes recently, and I think you might want to hear what that discussion was about. Next, Gee Ursula.
This hour is brought to you by DUI Heroes. She's local.
I grew up in Olympia.
She's experienced.
I've been very lucky to be in Seattle for 23 years.
Now, Manda Factor is home on KIRO Newsradio.
This is where I want to be. It's where I've always wanted to be.
Experience matters. Experience for yourself. Seattle's Morning News with Charlie Harger and Manda Factor. Every morning 6 to 9 on KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
State officials say there's a $12 billion hole in the budget, and fixing it is an emergency. But just a few years ago, the state had a budget surplus just as large. And only a few months ago, state government added billions more in spending. Tax collections are at record high. Some state officials say tax revenues are below average. Not quite adding up. To see the numbers for yourself and learn more about the state budget, visit budgetbreakdown.org. That's budgetbreakdown.org.
Cold is leaking in rocks are moving and mold is creeping and water seeping in. It's hard to be a homeowner, we know.
Without American Crawl Space and Pest Services, it is hard to be a homeowner. Dave Ross here. American Crawl are the heroes to call for insulation and pest issues because in addition to their great reviews and decades of experience, they also give out the most PSE insulation rebates of any insulation company in the state.
American Crawl, the heroes you call.
Get your free inspection at AmericanCrawl.com.
Jason Rance here with our local tax expert and advocate, Greg Nunn from None Better Tax Resolution. So, Greg, not all tax resolution companies are the same. There are some that are definitely not local. There are others that don't quite know what they're doing even.
Well, I tell you, these ads that all of us hear, Fresh Start program, they make you feel like, hey, man, I can just easy peasy get my taxes written off. No. And I've had several clients actually come to me after going through that process, and they just get no response after a while. They're passed around from person to person. That doesn't happen at my firm.
You are familiar with the cases that come in. You're working on them.
I'm familiar with every case that comes into our office. And I know what's going on and have the ability to really advise our taxpayers very well on what to do.
If you're having trouble with the IRS, then call Greg Nunn. None Better Tax Resolution, from stress to success with IRS Solutions. 425-947-1967 or Google NUNN. None Better Tax Resolution.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
It's a new year, but many seniors are struggling with the same old problem: high prices and rising property taxes. We're here with our friend Steve Teitler of Best Mortgage, and he says a reverse mortgage may be the answer.
Many seniors cannot afford to stay in the home they love. A reverse mortgage gives them access to equity in their home without having to sell. They can pay off their mortgage if they have one, and maybe pull some extra cash out of their home. And best of all, they have no mortgage payment the rest of their life.
But as you always say, a reverse mortgage is not for everyone.
That's right. Avoid the high-pressure sales pitch from those out-of-state call centers. I give you a consultation, not a sales pitch. I'll tell you if a reverse mortgage is right for you, and I always tell you if it's not.
Honest advice you can trust from the reverse mortgage experts. Best Mortgage. The VA loan experts and debt consolidation specialists too. 425-649-6000. Best Mortgage. 425-649-6000.
Get up to $5,000 in local utility rebates, and Eastsiders save up to $6,000 with the Energy Smart Eastside program. Plus, Home Comfort Alliance is offering up to 10% off all heat pumps and air conditioning systems through April. Visit HomecomfortAlliance.com.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good morning, I'm Heather Bosch.
The 2025 regular session is adjourned. Sine die. Sine die.
Washington state lawmakers have wrapped up their session by passing a $78 billion budget, including $9 billion in new taxes. Republicans say the deal fails to rein in record spending. Businesses say it's the biggest tax increase on them in state history. Democrats who control the legislature say it increases money for schools, affordable housing, and law enforcement. Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell says the city's making a significant increase in hiring this year after years of a severe cop shortage. He's giving details and will have a report shortly. We are hearing from a Seattle man who escaped when a car rammed into a crowd celebrating the Filipino culture in Vancouver, BC. KIRO News Radio's Luke Ducey has more.
One day after the attack, Devin Cabanilla, who was at the Lapu-Lapu Day Festival Saturday celebrating Filipino heritage with his Seattle dance group, shared on social media.
We're all very shaken up knowing that the people who are around us yesterday may not be alive.
Of the 11 killed, the youngest was just 5 years old. Police say the suspect had a history of mental health issues. Devin and his dance troupe are back home safe in Seattle.
Investigators don't think the suspect's actions are tied to terrorism. It's unclear what caused a massive power outage in parts of Spain and Portugal. CBS's Holly Williams.
Those two nations in southern Europe have a combined population of over 50 million people, so this is a very big deal.
Subway networks, phone lines, and traffic lights all went out. President Vladimir Putin says Russia will mark 80 years since the Soviet Union's victory over Nazi Germany with the 3-day ceasefire in the Russian-Ukraine war.
This will be a welcome development if it is to hold.
CBS's Charlie D'Agata.
Both sides had announced a sort of 24-hour ceasefire in order to mark Easter. Hundreds of violations, again, on both sides.
The ceasefire is supposed to start May 7th. A Requiem Mass for Pope Francis is planned for today in Seattle. The pontiff was laid to rest Saturday in Rome. Seattle's church service will begin in about a half hour. It starts at 12:10 this afternoon at St. James Cathedral. The church says all are welcome. Tariff concerns are again weighing on Wall Street. The Dow is down 24 points, NASDAQ off 129. From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk, not seeing any major blocking issues right now. You are a bit slow due to construction on State Route 18 from Tiger Mountain Summit to I-90. You've got a slight backup on the 520 bridge eastbound due to construction. That has you ever so slightly backed up on I-5 also. Otherwise, travel times are solid. Everett to Seattle, 28 minutes. Federal Way to Seattle, 22. Renton to Bellevue, 15. Traffic brought to you by Closets by Design. Custom storage solutions for closets, garages, home offices, and more. ClosetsByDesign.com. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Increasing showers today with highs in the upper 50s. It's 51 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
This is the Gee and Ursula Show. We sure appreciate you hanging out with us. Our text line is 888-973-5476, 888-973 KIRO. A bunch of you are on YouTube watching us and weighing in and creating a great community there as well. And the question we have this hour is, have you checked on egg prices lately? We were eating eggs last night at our Korean barbecue, and my son was asking, like, have you guys cut back on buying eggs? Because it's so expensive, and it's a good question. I mean, the prices aren't exactly going down, and for a lot of that, we can thank bird flu. Mm-hmm. But it turns out bird flu could have impacts that are much worse than what we are seeing at the grocery store. Okay. And you mentioned Dr. Angela Rasmussen, our favorite virologist, and she was featured on 60 Minutes, and this is something that she shared on that program.
If we're not testing people, if we're not looking for people who might get it, if we're not looking for evidence of an early cluster of human-to-human transmission, then we're going to miss it.
Dr. Angela Rasmussen is an American virologist working in Canada. Rasmussen told us it's not just the number of human cases that is alarming, but that the virus is jumping to more mammals. Every new spillover gives the virus another chance to evolve and potentially spread person to person. So we are now seeing the viruses spread from birds to cattle and now to foxes, goats, pigs, rats, cats, raccoons.
The fact that this virus can infect so many different types of mammals is a huge concern in terms of its ability to infect people.
One of your colleagues told us that if this should spiral into a pandemic, This flu could make COVID look like a walk in the park.
I agree.
You're scaring me.
I'm scared about it myself. I don't sleep very much these days, Bill.
So if you remember when Dr. Rasmussen was on our show on a regular basis, she's not the alarmist type. She's a straight shooter. So for her to say something like that is something that we should pay attention to. But as you said, like my brain right now can't even wrap itself. There's so much going on in the world that I can't even pay attention to that.
Yeah.
It's like fingers crossed that we don't have to deal with it. And it's not any worse than it already is, which right now is affecting egg prices and many, many, many birds.
I guess it depends on how you feel or felt about COVID. Are you someone that thinks COVID was a big deal? Or are you someone that's like, COVID wasn't a big deal? I don't know what side you land on because it got politicized. What's scary to me, Ursula, and the reason, and I'm with you, I can't wrap my mind around this entire topic. What's scary for me is that if there was something that were to happen, like that happened in March of 2020 when we all shut down, I don't know if we're going to do something like that again. I don't know if we are a country that is...
I know we won't.
And that's scary. Like this isn't about Republicans, Democrats, or anything like that. This is about, like, if something really happens, those days are done. And I'm afraid that if it were to happen, we would be worse off because the experts, and by the way, our show, we were so lucky to have Dr. Rasmussen every Tuesday. We had an epidemiologist on our show every Tuesday doing something that for free, out of their time, and was so life-changing. There's people listening right now. You know that her information was really crucial for helping us navigate through this time.
For sure. And so for her to say that, I need to pay more attention, and I haven't been because, I mean, every day it seems like we are just bombarded with so much news that you have to pick and choose what it is that you pay attention to, and that's just
Ursula,
where we're at right now.
You know that saying, Lord, grant me the serenity to accept the things I can't change, courage to change the things I can,
yes,
and the wisdom to know the difference.
Yes.
I fall into that former category. I can't change whatever's coming with this.
Right.
It comes. So until then.
And I think, honestly, that, and I just hope and pray that it doesn't come. But if it does, I'm going to do what we did during the pandemic and listen to the best experts in the field.
There are, I don't know many who thinks that COVID was a joke or wasn't real. But I do know I am, and I don't know if you all know people like this, I'm learning, we have a lot of people with long COVID. We have a lot of people that get sick differently. Some people never had allergies issues before COVID, now have those issues. Some people now, you didn't used to get sick before, now when you're getting sick, it's lasting 2 to 3 weeks. Like, there's a lot of things that we are still finding out about that time. It was just 5 years ago.
We didn't fully understand before then, I think, publicly, that post-viral syndrome is a very real thing, and it can happen not just with COVID, but with bouts of flu and other viruses. Gee, to your point, I don't think there's anyone that doesn't think COVID was a big deal. It's just people fall into one or two camps. That is, the virus had a huge impact and needed to be taken very seriously, and people who think that the response to the virus was the big deal, or somewhere in between those 2 points. But I think most people recognize the gravity of how it impacted the world.
Yeah.
The other thing that 60 Minutes, as long as we're talking about it, something kind of astounding happened. If you listen to Scott Pelley, this was just last night, right?
Yeah, last night. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Because in case you didn't hear, the longtime executive producer of 60 Minutes resigned abruptly last week, saying that his corporate bosses were no longer allowing him to make independent decisions. In a note to staff, Bill Owens announced that he was leaving after 37 years with CBS News. So the question is, why? And the issue is this lawsuit that President Trump filed over an interview that 60 Minutes did with then Vice President President Kamala Harris last fall. Trump claims the network aired 2 different versions of an answer that she gave about Israel and Gaza. One was used on Face the Nation, the other on 60 Minutes. And even though many legal experts say Trump doesn't have a good case, the network's parent company, Paramount, is now considering a settlement. Why? Because Paramount wants to have approval of federal regulators to sell the company to the son of Oracle founder Larry Ellison. He is a billionaire software mogul, a friend of Trump who visited the president at the White House earlier this year. And now Bill Owen says over the past few months, it has become clear that he would not be allowed to run the show independently. And Scott Pelley spoke about that last night. Yeah. And I thought he did a daring move because he basically was speaking out against his own employer.
Yeah. Every day, I don't know. Every day is something. Like every single day, Ursula, you give us the news, and it's just always just like it's something. So this right here, you're talking about someone who was a producer for 60 Minutes for 40 years. Resigning and being like, hey, I can't do this anymore. Like,
kudos to him. Kudos to him for having the guts to say, yeah, I can't. This is against my principles. You know, we in the media get blamed for everything. It's always, I mean, the other day, over the weekend, I was looking at our KIRO Radio Facebook page, and someone outright calling us liars. I'm like, why? Why are you calling us liars? Because we are giving you information that you don't like. And instead of saying, hey, that's actually factual, but I don't like it, it's, no, you're liars.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Shador conversation, right? When people says, oh, but everybody said that he was going to be going in the first round. Who's everybody? Like
some people who clearly didn't have it right.
When you get specific, right? Like, for an example, calling the Gee Ursula Show liars, right? They'll just say liars. They won't text in and say specifically what it is. And by the way, some of you all have texted us and says, hey, you got this wrong. And Ursula comes back the next segment and says, hey, everyone, I got something wrong.
I looked at it and I got it wrong. I have zero ego in admitting when I'm wrong. Seriously. In fact, I want to be the first one to click, oh my God, I got that wrong.
Text messages, feedback. Then we'll have Ursula's word to live by.
This is Secret Clinical dominating extra stinky stress sweat. And this is regular deodorant. Secret Clinical in a heat wave. Oh, what a beautiful day. This is regular deodorant. Ugh, I can't. Secret Clinical with workout sweat. Let's run another marathon. And regular deodorant. How much more? Secret is the GOAT. Because nothing fights sweat better. Stay fresher under pressure.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Need a new roof now? With State Roofing and Exteriors, you can get started with 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to 24 months. That's right. Protect your home now and pay later. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com today.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to Big Wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for autopay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
This is Secret Clinical dominating extra stinky stress sweat. And this is regular deodorant. Secret Clinical in a heat wave.
Oh, what a beautiful day.
This is regular deodorant.
Ugh, I can't.
Secret Clinical with workout sweat.
Let's run another marathon.
And regular deodorant.
How much more?
Secret is the GOAT. Because nothing fights sweat better.
Stay fresher under pressure.
See the new phase of premium view lots at Natchez RV Resort. And they start at just $80,000. Don't miss your opportunity to get first pick. Reserve your showing now. 800-422-6009. NatchezRVResort.com.
Point.
Hey, you okay? You don't normally miss those shots.
I just haven't been as regular lately, and it's making me feel sluggish.
You should try Metamucil. It's been a game changer for me. Metamucil's plant-based psyllium fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down.
Ace.
You're moving better than you were last week.
Definitely.
Metamucil keeps you moving. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Learn more at metamucil.com.
Easy Cater is the smarter, simpler way to order food for your workplace. With easy online ordering, search filters for budget, dietary needs, and more. Save your favorite restaurants and favorite orders for easy reordering. Save time with group ordering. You send a link, your team orders what they want. Plus, Easy Cater makes expense reporting a snap with all your receipts in one place. Easy Cater. More than just a way to order catering for work, it's your business tool for food. Order now at easycater.com.
The team that gave me back my full head of hair, Advanced Hair, is once again the winner of the 425 Business of the Year. Dr. Parango and his world-class team begin regrowing your own natural hair the very next day. And Advanced Hair guarantees your new hair will grow, just like they did for me. Find out why Advanced Hair is the best of the best. With your free consultation, you'll receive $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. 425-449-8185 or advancedhair.com.
When we reach our golden years, it's natural to want to stay in our homes. We've worked hard for them, but as our minds and bodies age, the home can become an unsafe place where loneliness thrives. Amanda here for Care Partners Senior Living. Our communities offer safe living spaces and managed common areas with medical professionals on site and ready to help. We assist you with your mobility when needed, allowing you to socialize or participate in activities whenever you like. Care Partners Senior Living provides both privacy and socialization at your desired pace. You aren't living alone in our communities because help is always nearby. And believe it or not, community living can be more cost-effective than in-home care. With locations throughout Washington and Arizona, you'll find a Care Partners community near you. Care, it's in our name and what we do. Learn more at carepartnersliving.com.
With 30 communities, including Covington, Bremerton, Snohomish, and the grand opening of North Creek Bothell, there's quality senior care at an affordable price near you. Visit carepartnersliving.com.
Charlie Harder here. When your hot turns to cold, you better think fast. Fast Water Heater. Call 1-800-THINK-FAST. That's 1-800-THINK-FAST or fastwaterheater.com.
You better think fast. Fast Water Heater.
Are you putting off your new kitchen plans? Why wait? Hi, Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft. Call today for a free in-home estimate. Years of experience, thousands of happy customers. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600 or heritagehomecraft.com.
The Puyallup RV Show, May 1st through 4th. 400 new and used RVs, plus manufactured homes. Over 1,000 floor plan options. It's your best chance to save all year. Browse the exhibits, chat with the experts, free parking. Tickets at PuyallupRVShow.com.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
It's Gee and Ursula, everybody. I got to tell you, the month of April going by fast. Today's show went by fast. All right, Ursula, what you got?
Oh, we had a whole bunch of budget talk, which normally would have my eyes glazing over, but this one is going to affect all of us. And TJ and Shelton said, oh no, let's try it. Ray in Bellevue says, yes, the budget needs to come down. That's going to hurt. But however, the transportation budget has been underfunded for years. The gas tax is high because our state decided almost all road transportation costs will come from the gas tax. Remember, we never filled that hole of the removal of the licensed excise tax left years ago.
Yeah. Aren't you guys proud of me that during the whole tax discussion, not one time today did I bring up, you know what I always bring up during that time. Cap on rental increases passed state legislature. Janice in Federal Way says we own a condo in Federal Way and our mortgage is $900 a month plus a $400 HOA that covers water, sewer, garbage, etc. There is one unit being rented in our complex for $2,400 a month. Get out of here with that price.
On the deadly vehicle attack in Vancouver, BC, Scott and Auburn says Seattle needs to learn from this situation in Vancouver for the Pike Place Market pedestrian area and the World Cup for sure.
Good point, Scott. U.S. citizen children, including one with stage 4 cancer, deported with no hearing, no due process, or access to attorneys. Nikki says nobody with a brain, conscience, and heart voted for this.
Mark in Edmond says, my mom and I are naturalized citizens who both came here legally and decided to become citizens. My grandmother is here visiting with a green card. They're planning on visiting Ivory Coast this coming December, and now I doubt this is going to happen. Also, I know that this administration is closing a lot of embassies in Africa.
And the discussion centered around Shadur from Colorado. 253 says, thanks for breaking down the Shadur situation, G, especially when it comes to the coach's kid scenario. Been there many times with my daughter in basketball and softball. It sucks when you're not the coach's kid. Shadur is finding out how that feels.
Bobby in Spanaway says, my soccer coach's son wore number 1 and was the goalie for our team, and he was not that good. I do want to say, because I always appreciate dads who step up and I say dads, moms too, but in our case, it was generally dads with all the teams that my sons were on, and I love that. I do just wish that they could remove themselves from the final decision as to who makes those all-star teams.
As one of those dads,
yes,
your job is to discipline your child first, to make an example out of them, and to make them play the hardest to earn the time.
I'm going to tell you all right now.
That applies to you. It doesn't apply to all
I'm saying that's the way it should be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It is so bad to do that. It is so bad when dads discipline the son extremely hard and then make that kid the example. This is why sometimes, it's cool.
Oh, we got to revisit that.
Oh, we need to bring that up tomorrow. Oh, yeah.
This is why at some point you have to, and it's okay, you want to coach your kid early, that's fine. But at some point you got to cut off and just be dad or mom or whoever. Because when you're dad and coach at the same time, it makes it extremely hard on a child.
It's kind of like that parent who's a school board member and the only kid who's in that school is that parent's son or daughter.
Yep.
And that's all they care about.
Words to live by. What do you got, Ursula?
Okay, we're talking about being honest and truth, and this is an unknown author, but living in truth may feel like a battle, but it brings you peace. And that's the truth.
That's the truth. Nick, what do you got, bro?
Well, I don't know who had this class in mind for this year's draft, but the Seahawks hit it out the park and showed a hidden craft. And as for G-Son headed to New England and the Pats, feel free to cheer them on, but please don't wear their shirts or hats. I'd even let you wear his alma mater merch and threads. Anything to keep you from that rival blue and red. I'd have to check and see if that's allowed in the Seattle studio.
Good stuff. All right. Woo, got through the show. Ursula, you got a busy rest of the day?
I do.
Oh, you heading out tonight?
No.
Oh, okay.
I got to take it easy.
Oh, that's right. The kids at the crib.
Yeah, the kids in the crib.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm helping. You know what brings me great joy is helping with the parts that they want me to help them with. One of the things that brings me great joy is I should have been an interior decorator. I love doing that.
Yeah.
So they're asking for some help. I'm happy to oblige.
You set up any dates yet?
No.
Thanks, Ursula. We got to roll. Thank you, Chef.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chef. Thanks, Nick.
You too.
Appreciate you, man. Hey, the Jake and Spike show, they're coming in next. Spike had a big weekend. You guys might want to stick around. I'm sure he's got some stories to tell about his action-packed weekend. So those are coming in. Those folks coming in next. We'll do this again tomorrow. Appreciate you for listening. Love you for that. And as always, be kind.
Hope you have as much fun as we have. So long, everybody.
I wish they'd take some of these knives out my back. What they do is
Stay informed and entertained with Jake Skorheim and Spike O'Neill.
There's going to be a lot of audio. We're going to laugh at most of it because if you
have you seen The World lately?
Well, if you did anything else, you'd be crying.
Jake and Spike, weekdays noon to 3 on KIRO News Radio.
Start having fun. Caesar Sportsbook at Muckleshoot Casino Resort is your #1 place to eat, drink, watch, and have fun. Keep up with your favorite sports anywhere and everywhere on property with the mobile app. Visit MuckleshootCasino.com today. Scan the QR code and let the play begin.
Muckleshoot. It's John Curley for Window Nation. You know, April is a great time to spruce up around the house, especially during Window Nation's Buy 4, Get 4 free sale going on now. You could pay nothing up until 2027, and they'll include a free entry door, too. Why do I trust Window Nation? Because they partner with Milgard in Tacoma to build top-quality windows to their highest standards, and they back them with a lifetime warranty. Hurry, sale ends soon, so don't wait to schedule your estimate at 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. Optima Tax Relief. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Look, I never thought I'd get into skydiving, but here I am, a hot dog about to fall from heaven at T-Mobile Park. Here I go! And just like that, I'm soaring above a sea of fans and